6:14. This is in the Community Board 1. This is our full board meeting. It's Tuesday, September 24th. I'm Tammy Meltzer, the chair. I'm joined by Brendan Thompson, our assistant secretary. We'll be taking minutes today, so I'm going to ask you all to be kind, gentle, clear, and no crosstalk, please. Alice Blank, our vice chair, will be timing everybody today, so everybody, I might actually even give her. So beware of the gavel. All right. So we're going to open up with our public session, and let me take a look for signings to the public session. Goodness gracious. If you have signed up to speak for the public session and you are in the room, would you mind raising your hand? If you've signed up to speak and you are online, if you don't mind raising your hand, that would be great. Wish to speak. If you are an attendee and you have signed up to speak, please raise your hand. Everybody remember to find anyone. There wasn't going to only go to a room. Okay, well, having lots of not wanting to speak, we'll leave the public session open for 1 more minute, and then we're going to close it down and open the public hearing, and we may be able to get moving quite quickly here. Uh, 6:16, seeing no one with hands up online and no one with hands in the room for the public session. We're going to close said public session and open the public hearing, which is early at 6:16. The public hearing is devoted to the Northwest Battery Park City Authority Resiliency Project and the draft environmental impact study that has been released. Is there anybody in the room who would like to speak on that? Same.
Can I just say one thing?
Justine, 2 minutes.
Not less than that. I was going to put it in my report, but I'll say it now because perhaps it will be reflected in a public statement in response to the draft environmental impact statement. But one thing that I don't recall, and I will excuse myself because I caveat that I was not at the executive committee, just took my place at the executive committee, the art installations in Battery Park City, have that, whatever they're doing with the art, like the upper room, the installations at the end of Albany Street, that was West Thames, and the other places within it, that is not addressed in the DEIS, and we have not mentioned it yet. I would just like to make sure that we put that in, because I'd like to know what's going on with it.
Take a look through the package in front of you for art installation specifically, and can be added absolutely.
I think so. I didn't notice it, so I just want to make sure, and I thought we
It's a
could.
giant project, we talked about it, absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much, that's it.
Okay, anybody else in the room? Seeing no hands in the room, seeing no hands online, we are going to close the public hearing at 6:18. Move along to the business. This is why we ask everybody to be on time for the board meeting, because we're rolling. Ready. Taking away, roll call for, do I have a motion? Is there any?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Roll call.
Gotta vote now.
Is everybody online?
If you are online, you need to have your camera on. That means Netta and Paul. And I'm not sure who the phone number is. Do you know who that is? 917-705, who are you?
That's me, Tammy. I'm calling in. But you
Gotcha,
can also see me. Yes.
no problem, got it. All right, thank you. We're ready to roll.
Starting with Blank,
Yes. Here.
Brown Kennedy, Cameron,
Yes.
Cameron, yes.
Hassel,
So, oh,
Cassell,
you said yes.
Chang, Rosa Chang,
Present.
And do you approve the minutes? It's yes. Thank you.
Wendy Chapman,
Yes.
Susan Cole,
Yes.
Corman. Corman, yes. Kuchia,
Kuchia, yes.
yeah, so Corman.
Kuchia, yes.
There it is, I don't see. Furman. Bruce. Nope. Flores. Flores, yes. Forsberg. Friedman. Yes, Friedman. Galloway. Galloway, yes. Goldstein.
Paul, how's your audio?
Goldstein, yes.
Goodkind. Fernandez. Ershad. Mariana's not here. Joyce. Kay. Keno.
No, I don't see it.
Koppel.
Bell?
Capel.
Him either.
Lerner.
Lerner, yes.
Lewinson.
Lewinson, yes.
Lynn. Lynn, yes. Lyon.
Lyon, yes.
Meltzer.
Meltzer, yes.
Minsley.
Minsley, yes.
Moore.
Moore, yes.
Pondya. Lushna. Portia Corey.
Portia Corey, yes.
Thank you. Robinson.
Robinson, yes.
Rossi.
Rossi, yes.
Scott.
Scott, yes.
Shear. Star.
Yes.
Jimmy Song. Their Song. Terry.
Terry, yes.
Thompson, yes. Townley. You.
Yes.
Zeller.
Zeltzer, yes.
Sorry, thank you. And we're good.
Okay. All righty, so move on to updates from our elected officials. I know that we'll start with Tevin. He is online.
Yes. Hi everyone. It's good to see everyone this evening. I am Tevin Williams, Director of Community and External Affairs for Congressman Goldman. Just a few quick updates. One piece I want to highlight, as everyone knows, the Congressman has introduced a bill, a bipartisan, bicameral bill to fix the World Trade Center Health Program. Thank you so much to two of your board members who have spoken about the importance of this bill. And as many of you know, Board Member Goodkind and also Board Member Mariama James. This bill was introduced with Senator Gillibrand and Senator Schumer, Congressman Garbarino, and Congressman D'Esposito to introduce the 9/11 Responder and Survivor Health Funding and Correction Act of 2024. This would provide funding to prevent cuts to services, fix funding formula for after 2034, and increase funding for research and data collection of 9/11 conditions. You can read more about this in the report. And then just want to talk about two bills that the Congressman just recently introduced in the past month. One of them is with Congressman Don Beyer. This bill works to expand young voter pre-registration called the PROVE Act. This would enable U.S. citizens aged 16 to 17 to pre-register to vote, and including them in automatic voter registration when they turn 18. And then next, I would just like to highlight the Congressman's bill when it comes to the reauthorization of Women's Business Center program. Congressman Goldman and Sharice Davids and Nydia Velasquez have introduced the Women's Business Centers Improvement Act, which would reauthorize and improve the Women Business Centers program. This would allocate $300,000 per center, reauthorize the program for 4 additional years, and increase the overall authorization level for the first time since the program's inception. That's all I have on my end. You can read a lot more in the board report. And thank you so much for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
We have questions in the room, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Quick confirmation question. I saw an article in the Publication Streets blog on the 18th of September that said that the congressman was supporting the idea of bringing private automobiles, back to Park Row. And just wanted to get first confirmation if that were true. And two, perhaps there's, I don't live in the area, so I just ride my bike through, and I've often thought the potential for this space is really fabulous as a public space with perhaps bus lanes and bikes lane and pedestrian plazas and whatnot. But I just wanted to get your first, just a confirmation of what your thoughts were on that article.
Yeah, I can follow up with you with the contact in our office. It's not me that handles Park Row, but he did do an interview recently about opening up Park Row to pedestrian traffic and having people do vehicular traffic as well. And yes, I can email Zach the contact for our office that can get you more information on his comments on that. But yes, he did do an interview recently about that within the past couple of weeks, supporting that.
Okay, anybody else hands up in the room? Seeing none in the room and none online, thank you very, very much, Kevin. Dan? Okay, so we'll wait for the senator himself, so we'll move on from there. Apologies, I'm looking for our assembly members we'll go directly to Robin Forst from the mayor's office.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. It's on my camera, but it's oh, there I am. Okay, hi everyone. Happy September. I have a few updates to report. One is that the mayor, along with Comptroller Lander, announced the city's third issuance of bonds to support affordable housing. They will issue, the two of them will issue approximately $820 million of taxable fixed rate general obligation bonds next month. The funds that are generated by the sale will be used to support construction and development of over 4,300 more affordable units in the city. As most of you know, the mayor has been a big supporter and has made affordable housing a signature issue. This will be the third issuance of social bonds since 2022. And the first two issuances totaled $1.1 billion and helped to finance 7,800 units of affordable housing. While this is not directly in Board 1, I remember my days with ball fields and sharing ball fields. The mayor opened the new East River ball fields as part of the East River Coastal Resiliency Project. The ball fields are at Delancey Street, and there is a new ADA accessible Delancey Street Bridge to take you over the FDR Drive. As work proceeds on ESCR, the East Side Resiliency Coastal Resiliency Project, other amenities will come down the pike. Upgrades to an amphitheater, tennis courts, upgrades, soccer, and other turf fields, basketball, picnic and barbecue areas. So, of course, that's open to the public, and some people on this call live closer to that park, so that might be nice to know. And the last thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know if you've heard on the news, but the mayor's launched a Ghostbusters task force between NYPD and Department of Sanitation. This interagency task force was announced to help remove illegal ghost cars, which are cars that are untraceable by traffic cameras, by toll readers. And under this program, 15 NYPD, DSNY folks will be removing ghost cars. In the first 5 nights, 300 cars were removed. And for anybody who drives, that means another parking space. So that's what I have to report. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, there are hands up in the room, so if you're gonna just hang on there, we're gonna start with Andrew first.
Robin, sorry if I missed this, but was there a timetable for the capital raisings or the bond issuances that you mentioned?
I think it starts in October. They're going to start the fundraising in October. I don't know how long the bonds will be for sale. I don't know if it's till they're done or there's a specific time, but I can check on that and get back if you'd like.
Just to follow on, to clarify, you said it would be done in 2 tranches, total of 1.1 billion, of which 800 the first tranche and the balance the second?
No. There were 2 tranches already prior to now that totaled 1.1 billion. The upcoming and third of the tranches is 820 million that will be issued in October.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
There are 4 or 5 hands up in the room, so I'm gonna go Rosa, Morton, Eric, and Mr. Corman. Rosa.
Thank you. Hey, Robin.
Hi, Rosa. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
I was curious about whether or not this is on your radar, the 2 shelters that are being located, one directly adjacent to one of our elementary schools, and the other one kitty corner.
And the other one, what? I'm sorry.
Kitty corner from another elementary school.
Kitty corner.
And a million across the street. Are we able to get your help on that issue?
We have been, I mean, we're well aware of it. I have attended numerous meetings at the community board, including one last week. I think there are people, including elected officials, who are trying to see what might be done to change the plans. But at the moment, those are the plans.
We would appreciate your help.
I know. We're trying to work together. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
But yes, I hear you, and I'm a resident of the neighborhood too, so I understand.
Morton?
Yes, Robin, on the same issue, if I recall correctly, the last time you were here, last month, it was either at the quality of life meeting or at the general board meeting, you said you would specifically go back to the mayor and make inquiry about the Peck-Slip shelter that's right next to the school. I mean, did you make that inquiry? And we were told that Deputy Mayor Ann Williams-Isom is the person in charge of this issue. And have you spoken or made any inquiry with her?
Well, I work closely with a number of her people, and at that last quality of life meeting, which I think was last Wednesday, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Pat. There was a suggestion that people reach out to the deputy mayor, and I believe that, several people, many people have done that to express their desire and wishes for that particular site. So the mayor is aware, and the people in leadership are aware of the concerns about the shelter, and considering I guess options. But as of now, things stand as they were presented at the meeting.
Just one thing, speaking for myself, as a member of the board, it would be great if Deputy Mayor Williams Isom to come before this board and address the issue. If she's the decider, she's the person who was in charge of the project.
Here, here. Yeah, here, here. Excellent idea.
Thank you, Morton. And Robin, I think that was reiterated at the quality of life as well. If the buck stops at her desk, we'd like to see her as well.
Well, I mean, I will pass that on, but, you know, perhaps you should, you know, make a formal request.
Let's consider this a verbal request, which will follow up by
Okay.
email.
Very good.
Thank you.
Fair enough, Tammy.
All right, next was Eric.
Yes, hi, Robin. With Park Row, is there an opening date planned? Because there's consensus in the community to have it open to all vehicular traffic as well as to maintain a safe bike path and pedestrian path. But it's been talked about, petitions have been signed, rallies have been held, and in meetings, I've been told it's up to City Hall. So what's the latest and when will something happen?
I don't know the answer to that. You heard earlier that Congressman Goldman had weighed in on that, suggesting that Park Row be reopened to vehicular traffic. For those of us who've been around for a long time, this has been a debate that began when Park Row was closed after 9/11. There are strong feelings on, you know, on both sides or multiple sides of the issue. I don't think any decision has been made. And, you know, would suggest that you speak to your elected officials about it. I don't think, I don't know. I have not heard when the decision will be made.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, hi, Robin. Robin, I want to go back to the affordable housing money. Could you tell us what agency and if there's a process by which those funds, what agency is responsible for it and process for the disbursement of those funds?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out and circle back with you. I don't know how that money is distributed or spent from an agency standpoint. I will find out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Then I'm going to ask if you can email the question in detail to Zach so we can send it to Robin in the fall.
Perfect. Thanks, Richard.
Anybody else in the room? Saying no hands online. I'm going to say thank you very much to Robin and welcome the team from Assemblymember Paul. And I apologize, I missed you before.
Not your normal representative for Assembly Paul. Do you want me to stand up?
Please introduce yourself. Come over to the table.
Hi, I'm Casey Brown. I'm Charles Ball's community liaison. I am filling in for Fatim right now. Normally he's the one who comes to you for these things, so I'm just here to take notes. If you do have any questions, I highly urge you to call our office. I'll actually be the one to pick up the phone there, and I'll have more resources to answer your questions then. So if you guys want the office number, 718-442-9932, and I'll move slightly and not serve you while I take notes.
We can email one more.
Gotcha. 718-442-9932. And I do urge you guys to call us on there. I can absolutely help you with answers from that situation, but don't have a lot of resources right now.
There you go. And congratulations to the team when he returns.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Moving on, we're going to Andrew Chang from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. Andrew?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Andrew from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. Welcome back to this lovely space. The Borough President was at various types of family days, backpack giveaways, PD National Night Outs over this recent summer. And so I guess in terms of recent things that we've been doing, the Borough President was at the public restrooms rally at City Hall last week, advocating for more public and accessible restrooms for the public.
He, along with Councilmember Rita Joseph and other council members, are supportive of Intro 276, which would open up city buildings and their public and the rest to the general public. We issued a report on license plates on, vehicles, people who are obscuring their license plates or buying fraudulent license plates. We issued a report with recommendations on how to combat that issue of these ghost cars with the license plates. Several recommendations include RFID tags that would register on the registration stickers to tie the car registration and license plate as one. Asking for greater enforcement from NYPD. And includes better training and equipment to recognize and ticket these folks. Using AI tools to identify partial plate matches. Increasing fines for vehicle owners who are caught using these fake license plates. And calling on companies to stop the sale of these license plates. People are buying them from eBay, TikTok, and various other online sources. So the full report is in the initiative section on the manhattanbp.nyc.gov website.
Any questions for Andrew?
Oh, sorry, no,
What? I'm sorry. I'm rolling.
We'll be having our community leadership training session series again during the last week of October, from October 28th to November 2nd. These sessions are mainly for community board members, new and returning. Maybe we'll talk about conflict of interest, ethics, governance, how to run meetings, land use, and various other topics. So please stay tuned. We'll send information out to Zach and Tammy once we finalize the dates and times for these online virtual sessions. And then lastly, we're supportive of composting. It's coming for residents October 6th. And I've heard from community board members, from other community boards and from community members that there's not enough public education and awareness about how to compost, how it's going to work. I do know that sanitation has a bunch of online webinars, which are, if you go to the sanitation website, you can access them for more information on the webinars. But yeah, we're supporting composting, so hopefully we can help put the messaging on that. Yes.
Should go back.
Send to your email list, because we have them come to quality of life.
Yeah.
And it's still, there are lots of questions, like the container size and how it's gonna work and how you're gonna get people in the business to it. So there will obviously be a section.
We can either work on one or, see if sanitation's working.
They're right here.
Yeah, no, that's not, we're talking about the composting, and how what kind of bins and those things that take the last of the meeting.
They're there.
I think I got one available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send more.
Yeah, send more, as much as you can.
Andrew?
Yeah. Andrew, can you provide a brief assessment on the mosquito spraying that took place during the summer? And I would imagine with the summer winding down, is that program winding down or?
I wasn't aware of that. I can look into it.
Great.
Yeah. You're trying to see if are you supportive or are there any issues or?
I'm just, I wasn't aware of the program until about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. They were going up and down Greenwich and Hudson at 1 or 2 in the morning, making announcements that they were spraying, in relation to West Knot.
Yeah, there's, we can also share the stuff that we have from the community board. I can tell you that it is something that they do every September. So far, Community Board 1 has been in it for the last 4 years because of our robust flora and fauna and standing water. So we have all of that. Anybody else for Andrew? Rosa?
On the bathroom topic, are any of them slated for Community Board 1?
You mean the locations or?
Yeah. Like right now, is there any plans to open bathrooms in our area?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we are. I don't have the exact list. We did, the Manhattan Borough President's Office did release a visual map of restrooms that the public could go to now. That includes, parks and, various other locations, but.
It needs to be updated for what parks are currently in place and under construction.
Okay, that would be great.
And we access that map online?
Yes, it's on the manhattanbp.nyc.gov website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just want to make sure, because I just took a look at sign-ins and I only have 34 sign-ins in the room. So whether you're an elected official representative or you're a board member, please make sure you scan the QR code and you have signed in. That's how maybe I won't miss you. Great. Come on.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think this is my first CD1 full board.
Ooh, well done.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself. You got a warm reception. We love having you here.
Okay, my name's Fanny. I'm from the Assembly member of Grace Lee's office. I've attended a lot of CV1 meetings, but not the full board. So we're back in the swing of things. We had summer hours in the office summer hours, but now we're back to like full regular office hours. Over the summer, we had donated almost 400 backpacks through different various events. Also, we were tabling at various locations and at various night shift family days. We had an e-waste recycling event right outside of CD1 at Kinrow Square. We're going to be working on upcoming events such as shredding and maybe a flu shot event as well. Assembly Member Lee is busy meeting with constituents and also community stakeholders and organizations. So anyone that wants to meet with her and have something to talk about with her, the time is now before the session starts, before she goes back to Albany. Also, some of the issues we are involved in CD1 is the 320 Pearl Street, and then we are also involved in the Chinatown Convention issue. So, questions? No?
All right.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I think I know the
Which one? This is about 320 Pearl Street. I had asked Grace last time about a minimum distance of homeless shelters away from school. And I'm asking if she would consider a minimum distance, if not 1,000 feet, maybe 800 feet, but so that this doesn't happen to another neighborhood where a homeless shelter is not, connected to a school or at least on the same block. It needs to be a minimum distance. So they hope that Grace would reconsider.
Yeah, I'll definitely remind her and work on it.
Fantastic.
Just a thought on that. It's really not really, but what if we could get that into the city of Yes now? Just kind of testimony. I mean, or some somehow say like what that Jen's saying about how it should be kind of like a radio box at some department that says, is your building connected to a school or a church or a synagogue? If you don't have that, you don't get to build such a thing. Just thinking out loud. But
That's a great question for our next speaker. Okay, thank you, Fanny. Welcome. Thanks for coming to the full board. Max, that means that's a great question for you. Let's welcome Max from City Council.
That one first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we say,
Well, first introduce yourself.
yes,
to the-
hi everyone. I'm Max from Councilmember Marquez's office. I'll start with that. Very good question. I can connect you with our land use director who's doing everything City of Yes, but so I'll start, we've had an exciting legislative month. So we finally passed our bill to create a freedom trail in New York City and Lower Manhattan. So this bill will create a task force who will then create a freedom trail commemorating a significant site to the Underground Railroad and abolition movement. And so, we're kind of working with, I think the mayor's doing a signing on Friday. We're gonna be working with the administration to kind of pick who is on this task force. And yeah, kind of, that's gonna take, I think, a year, and then a year after that, the task force releases their report on what the Freedom Trail should look like. And so, yeah, we're just excited to see that kick off. I know Community Board One actually wrote a resolution in support of that a few years back. And then, so second, so as many of you probably know, I think around last year, we worked to get screen and DRE applied also to Mitchell-Lama and former Mitchell-Lama tenants, which means that, right, rent stabilized tenants in places like IPN Gateway can now apply for screen and DRE. But one problem we faced is that normal screen and DRE is administered by the Department of Finance. But this program for the Mitchell-Lama tenants is administered by the by HPD. They have different applications for these identical programs. And on top of that, HPD's program is entirely on paper. You send in your paper application, they do not put it into a computer. They have file boxes where they just keep track of all these things. And then on top of that, even if you can apply online for Department of Finance's program, but if you want to reapply or recertify your SCRE, you can only do that on paper. So it's kind of the whole system is extremely complicated. So the council member last week or 2 weeks ago introduced legislation just to create one uniform, universal SCRE and DRE application and recertification portal. So it would just be all one online portal application that you could apply, recertify, and just simplify this entire process that's unnecessarily bureaucratic and complicated. Another bill we introduced. So one thing we've seen a lot of is whenever there's a fire or really any other kind of disaster that displaces a building, if you want to get your insurance when you're after a fire, sometimes jobs offer compensation, because there's a fire, some disaster. You often need a report from the FDNY or whatever agency issued the vacate order. And of course, to do that, you have to FOIL, which means that you need to get proof. You have to FOIL the FDNY to get proof that you had a fire in your apartment to get insurance, which again, can take months to get done. Sometimes you don't even hear back. So we introduced legislation that would just require any agency that issues a vacate order has to provide tenants just with proof of that vacate order and what happened, just again, to simplify the process for getting insurance, compensation, or whatever you might need, kind of that documentation of proof of the accident for. And then lastly, on Thursday, the council member will be introducing a resolution to support a state bill by Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, which would create a social housing development authority. And if you didn't hear about this earlier in the year, Assemblymember Gallagher in the Assembly and Senator Cordell Clear in the State Senate introduced a bill that would create what's called the Social Housing Development Authority, which would be a public authority who would be able to create public affordable housing on, whether it's state-owned property or just, vacant by land. It would be self-financing, so there wouldn't be kind of the issue of how do you fund this. There would be affordability mandates. It would be democratic, where I think a majority of the board has to be tenants in its buildings. There'd be co-ops, rental, kind of all kinds of units. And yeah, it's gotten a lot of support when it was introduced this past year, and we're hoping that a resolution from the council can really push it over the edge and get it passed in Albany next year or next session. And so that's legislation. On budget, just to kind of finish our budget allocations for the year, just a few highlights. We secured $2.5 million for schools in District 1. We allocated $250,000 to upgrade technology for libraries in District 1. We allocated around $200,000 to replace the roof and HVAC system at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. We allocated $150,000 for tree and tree guards, another $187,000 to ACE to provide sanitation services in the district. We allocated around $35,000 to help asylum families with legal aid and legal services. And we allocated $75,000 to Grow NYC for composting, the green markets, things like that. And then there's lastly 2 upcoming community events we wanted to share. So on Saturday, October 5th, from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. in Seward Park. So in Chinatown, we'll be doing a free helmet giveaway with the DOT. If you have kids, you need a free helmet, you can come by at that time for a helmet. And I also do believe we're trying to get one on the calendar in Tribeca on the west side, NCB1, for the maybe like late winter, early spring. And then on October 11th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m., we're co-sponsoring a free jazz concert in Washington Market Park. Should be a really nice event, open to everyone. And, information on both of those are in our newsletter, or, feel free to reach out to our office. And yeah, with that, I will take questions.
Okay, we have lots of questions in the room, so we're going to start at the far end for our private board member. Go for it.
For the housing development, I was wondering, what would the flexibility be like in ensuring that there will be no discrimination based off of criminal background, of course, like different things like age, family situation. So like, what would that flexibility look
That's a
like?
great question. Yeah, it's like I can check in because it's one of these bills that they spent like 3 years drafting is like, 200 pages long. So they really put their time to go through these things. So I can check in with their office to see if they have any provisions on that. I mean, I know at least in New York City, right, last year they passed was it the FAIR Act, which, right, you can't do the criminal background checks now. But yeah, if it's statewide, and again, other forms of discrimination, that's a great question.
Oh, and one more thing, could you speak a little bit more about the Freedom Trail?
Yeah, so the Freedom Trail is kind of, as an idea loosely, as it's a way to kind of create just how exactly it's going to look, right? Is it going to be plaques? Is it going to be kind of, we hope to have, I think, ideally, a mix of, this task force is going to figure out which sites throughout the city. We want this to be really comprehensive. And that's why we want to make sure that there's like experts on Black history in New York who can really figure out a lot of these forgotten locations and forgotten stories. And right, whether it's a mix of plaques and a kind of interactive map. I know the Landmark Preservation Committee a few years ago, they kind of have a very shorter version with like highlighting 10 to 20 spots where you can kind of go on their website. It's an interactive app and you can visit different sites of the city. So maybe something like that. I think that's kind of what the task force is going to be, is to figure out what is on this Freedom Trail and how is it going to be organized. Like the Boston's much smaller, so it's an actual walking trail you can do. That's probably less doable here, but yeah, I think that's kind of, we want to make sure that we have good people like, who know what they're talking about on this, who can actually make sure, it's representative of the history.
Okay, Eric and then Alice.
My first question is about the minimum distance of homeless shelters from schools. For example, to have a liquor license, it has to be at least 500 feet from school. Would Chris consider changing his mind on having a minimum distance of a homeless shelter away from the school? But I know in Southbridge, he came to us, I think it was a month ago, and he said he didn't support it. So any change or?
I'll raise with him, but again, it's the same question we had, the same issue, we've spoken about earlier, where New York City, there's certain areas where these distance requirements would make it impossible to place a shelter. And there is a difference in terms of, right, there is no fair share for liquor stores. There is a fair share for homeless shelters. So certain areas have to have a certain amount of homeless shelters. And if you have certain, right, finding a distance requirement makes that more difficult if you have that.
And then the other question is about Park Row. Yeah, Chris attended the Chinatown Connections meeting. It's great. Does he have any update? Was he able to get in contact with the mayor?
I'm not sure, but I can get back to that tomorrow and let you know. Yeah.
Alice?
Yeah, I answered my own question. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Max. We're going to release you. I don't see any hands online. And we're going to welcome Assemblymember Deborah Glick. Fantastic. Deborah. Can we get you some water?
Nah.
Do you want a seat?
I think I might do that. It's been a long schlep.
Hi, welcome.
Nice to see you all.
Happy fall.
I was at Solar One in the far reaches of Long Island City, not far from water, but not close to mass transit. So, and I chose one rather than the other. I'm not sure I made the right decision, but thank you for accommodating me. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. Perfect.
So I think people may have copies of our report, but a few of the things that are exciting to me is composting. Half my freezer will be empty in the beginning of October. I'm very happy to say. And we signed on to a letter that I think is important for school kids because pre-Omni were only going to be available to kids who were more than half a mile, I think it was, from their school, but it could also be used for after-school activities and going to cultural events. And it seemed very discriminatory for kids who happen to live a little bit closer to school. So I think we'll be seeing a change in that. And I'm happy to be a part of pushing for that. obviously today's news sort of turns the education of kids in the city completely upside down yet again. And who knows who else is heading for the exit. But, you know, the problem is that kids have had a very serious learning deficit because of the pandemic. And getting back on track has been hard. And this is not going to help because I'm not sure who's going to take the job, knowing that they are heading into a mayoral election. So I assume we'll have some interim person. Hopefully it's somebody who's been working in the system and feeling very energized about, you know, not having to learn the ropes and moving things forward. Obviously, there are lots of things that are going to be on your ballot this year. Remember to flip it over, but read about things in advance because you can't walk into the voting booth, which I think this year the lines will be long. So if they hand something out, you'll have plenty of time to read, unless you avail yourself of early voting, which is a good thing. So keep that in mind, but learn about it because we have an equality proposition that's a state proposition, and then there are some ballot questions from the mayor. And so people have to know in advance what they're going to do, and tell all of your friends to remember to flip the ballot over and not think it's only one side. There are, I will just say two things. This is Climate Week and therefore busy. But I will say that this was I think you may know that New York is not on track to meet our goals that were set out in our CLCPA, which was the climate leadership, community protection. We're behind on those goals. One place where we're not behind is on community and rooftop solar. That is actually going to meet the goal of 6 gigabytes a year ahead of time. So we really, and I will be urging the governor and her brain trust to do more to focus on what is actually working and being built fast and actually reducing, the governor's concerned about affordability, reducing people's energy bills right away. So those are things that, and they would like to, they have a plan which requires, you know, a number of things to fall into place. 20 gigabytes by 2035. I believe that they can achieve that, if not more. And it's going to be crucial because, as you may know, we had some big wind projects that the wind energy folks backed out of. So we were counting on those and they've backed out. The one thing that's working is rooftop and community solar. So that's going to be a big focus. And, you know, I'm happy to be here because come January, Tuesdays, I'm otherwise occupied for most of the first half of the year. What am I going to be doing? You know, my committee we did not at the end of the session get our packaging reduction and bigger, better bottle bill done. So that's going to be a top focus. And we're looking at doing I'm driving my staff crazy upstate, we do a hearing in the fall. And we're trying to find the date that the hearing rooms are available, et cetera. But we are looking at issues around PFAS. These are the forever chemicals Water quality and PFAS are linked, and they are also linked through sewer sludge that has concentrated amounts of this stuff and winds up on America's farms. And actually, I think in some instances, our farms, although a lot of our farms tend to have their own manure management. And that might be less contaminated. But it is a big problem. And some of you know I have a production background, so talking to the water treatment people, they are concerned about how do they test for it and how do they clear it so that they have good quality water coming out. So that's one thing we should be doing, but we have to stop it at the beginning. We have to step backwards and stop it because the cost of cleaning this stuff up is enormous. This was sort of the Hoosick Bowl. PFAS was the beginning, the canary in the coal mine, but it's a much bigger problem, much more pervasive. And we did say no more PFAS in apparel, but there's apparel out there that still has it in it, and every time you do your laundry, it's going into the waste stream. So that is a problem. And then I have a bill on personal care. Think of it, the horrifying personal care products that have PFAS in it. So, you know, what you're brushing your teeth with, flossing and the rest of it. So it's pernicious, it's pervasive, and DuPont, when I was growing up, used to advertise better living through chemistry. And apparently not. So we have a lot of work to do. I'm very energized about, you know, tackling these, but they're not small issues. And that's that.
Hands up around the room. Alice, you're gonna go first, I know that. Our chair of environmental. We'll go Alice, Wendy, Eric, we're gonna go this
Well,
way.
there's a lot of things you brought up that were great to discuss, and thank you so much for all that you're doing. One of the things that you've done that's been wonderful is our agenda tonight, which is the sort of support of the full review of the 5G cell towers. Specifically, in your case, vis-a-vis the historic districts in your community board. So I would ask that you look very carefully now that with our new rollout here in Community Board 1, which appears on our agenda not once, not twice, but 3 times tonight, and it comes into our Environmental Protection Committee with a great deal of concern about the environmental aspects here and the alleged potential 5G radiation, electromagnetic radiation, and such, which I'm sure you're more than well aware of. And I would just wonder and ask if you are able to consider working with Assemblymember Seawright, Assemblymember Boris, who in Seawright's case has legislation now pending, but there's a bill about simply researching 5G cell and health. It seems like a good idea.
Yes, absolutely. And I will just say, we went with what we had as our strong pitch. Not that we thought that that was the end all and be all. We just thought, well, what's our hook to get rid of this stuff? So that was, you know, okay, but it is concerning. And the city, in its infinite wisdom, has, you know, if you travel in parts of upstate, you don't have energy. There is no connectivity. It would be nice if people who have small businesses and farms and stuff could actually access the internet where they happen to be before we go into this handout to corporations is this a surprise to anybody? No. So yes, there are serious concerns. This goes back early in my tenure, We were concerned about some of the rooftop cell towers and impacts on people who are living right under them. And if you saw what Sweden's requirements are, they're much more stringent. And, you know, we are guinea pigs for every major corporation. So what can I say? Thank you. And yes, we'll definitely check out Rebecca and Alex.
Thank you. You're next.
Yeah, thank you for all of this. Thank you so much. I wanted to just ask you about the Lead Paint Right to Know Act, which didn't pass last 2 years. It's the idea that you have to actually test in your apartments before you sell your building so that people know before they buy it. It's not just a disclosure form saying, I don't know anything. It's like $250 to test it. And it's part of the closing. So you test for radon right now, that's a test, but you don't have to test for lead paint. We have people that have been affected by it here and are working hard to get that passed, which, you know, I know it's been proposed before and it's going to come around in 2025, hopefully again. So I don't know if you have a thought about that.
Well, you know, there is no safety. And so, yes, we also had Bill that never managed before that is a well. You should have to have it tested to make sure there's nothing in that. Problems, solving them not so easy. I'm all for making certain that before you turn over a property, as any possible known health risk should be known and actually abated.
All right, awesome. Eric, you're next.
Hi, the proposed homeless shelters at 4143 320 Pearl are not in your district. But what's your feeling, would you support legislation that would say there has to be a minimum distance of homeless shelters from schools, 800 feet, something that's not too close to a school? I understand the footage can vary, but what's your opinion on this?
Well, to be honest, I haven't really, because it's not in the district, I haven't really looked at the issues in any great detail.
Be happy to catch you up.
I think that it is problematic to have, you don't allow liquor licenses within a certain distance of schools. And so it seems to me that this would be similar in nature. I have a lot of feelings about homeless shelters and the fact that we have a lot of people who are working people. Some incredible percentage of the school children who are going to school in our city are homeless. The answer is supportive housing, because you can't take somebody who has been on the street and had mental health challenges, because if you're homeless, you have a lot of stress, and with it, mental health problems. Barbara Ehrenreich wrote a book about being on the street, and she said, if you're not crazy before, you will be crazy.
Yeah.
And so you can't just take people and put them into housing without support. The city has not invested in supportive housing. They haven't invested in affordable housing. Tomorrow, the City Planning Commission is going to vote on City of Yes, which requires absolutely no affordable housing, but is a wide-ranging zoning change that allows developers to make more money with what I believe is a erroneous premise that the more housing we build, the lower the rents will get. The reality is that we actually have more housing units than we had a decade ago. They're just all unaffordable. So to your question, I will look at it and see what, and I'm sure that, I will get, information from the board. But I do think that we have seen that there are insufficient services provided in shelters. And so there are problems in the immediate area that are not, should not be right on the doorstep of the schools.
Thank you. Who was next on this side? I know Morton, you're next, and then Bessie.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
Good evening. Always good to see you. On the subject of the schools and the announcement today about the chancellor, number one, he had instituted the new literacy curriculum in the New York City schools. I wonder if you have a take on how that implementation was going, whether it's adequately funded in terms of training and working with the teachers and the principals in implementing the program. And just a thought, what do you think the prospects might be once he leaves? Do you think that's gonna?
Oh, I think he'll go back into charter world where he came, and I think, they'll be happy to have him. I guess, assuming that investigations are really sort of distant from it. This is America. People are innocent of anything before they are A, convicted, and B, an investigation, you don't know what the hell it's about. And it,
I mean,
he was living with the deputy mayor, so who the hell knows? Anyway,
Let's not.
let me just say that I have had people who know more than I do. Joanne Simon is an assembly member in Brooklyn. She was, I think, the executive director of the Dyslexia Society or Association. She has compendious knowledge of reading, and she has pushed for years for us to move away from whatever was the newfangled thing 20 years ago that obviously did not serve children well. And they are moving back to the science of reading, and I think that's a good thing. I believe the way I learned to read actually is close to what they do with children who have learning disabilities, because that was what made sense. And frankly, as you get older and you can't remember how to spell a word, that training that you had as a child is extremely helpful, and it comes back to you like that. So I think that this change is a good thing. How it's being implemented, I can't speak to, because I'm not sure, and I'm not sure that it's had enough time. What I know for sure is that we don't have enough teachers trained in this. And so both, Nancy Zimfer was the head chancellor of SUNY many years ago, and Mary Ellen Ely was the state education commissioner. They were trying to move in this direction, but of course they got derailed because of the last gubernatorial administration. But their thing was train the teachers. SUNY had an enormous number of colleges that train our teachers, and that was where they were trying to get to. But the other nonsense came out of Columbia, I'm happy to say.
Yeah. Bessie, you're up.
Ooh, that last one was a dig.
So from dig to Bessie. There we
Yeah.
go.
As a teacher's college student, I'm a little.
Well, darling, it's not your fault.
Yes.
She who shall not be named from Columbia.
So, one, I'm happy to hear that there's more accessibility for Omni for our students. I think them having more mobility in the city with a card is really better for them. So I think that sounds great. I wanted to ask about, well, with the chancellor leaving and one of the things that we have been discussing in the Youth and Education Committee was class sizes. And of course, that has a lot to do with availability of space, which interrupts the conversation about housing, la, 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 la. And so I'm wondering is there any movement or, on that particular issue? And also, is there something that CB1 should be focusing on within the Youth and Education Committee, knowing that we have some disruption so early in the school year with the chancellor leaving?
Well,
Easy questions.
yeah. Well, you know, the state, we moved to, make requirements that were more in line with what made sense for the ability of class size students to be able to learn and interact with teachers and for teachers to be able to have a manageable class size. So the state did that. We give a ton of money, a ton of money. The state budget is,
we don't know where it,
well, it goes to the city and and any municipality. We give the state in a number of areas, and the big ones are here's the budget, here's education, here's healthcare, and everything else is down over here. Everything else. So those are the two huge amounts of money, and every year we give more. We have, some of it is entailed, so that we want to make certain that some of it goes to community schools, which is a model that is, provides wider, more wraparound services that's more helpful to not just the students, but community. And, I grew up in the city. I went to public school. It was boomer, years, so, we were from the rafters. My high school, 5,000 plus students, graduating class of 1,200. We were on a triple session. The freshmen and sophomores went this time, juniors went this time. It was wall to wall, but the school was open at night and we did adult education stuff. We did, cultural things, and the gym was open. So that is where we need to get back to for communities, where there is wider range of access to, or a wide range of services. As far as, and I will tell you honestly, I have avoided being on the education committee successfully for, all my tenure. They have the longest bloody meetings. You could knit a sweater if you had a knit. We send money to municipalities. Certain things are earmarked, teacher centers, community schools, and some other slices, but it's a big amount goes to the school district, of which New York City is one, and they get to determine a great deal about how those dollars are wind up in each school. And I can try to get more detail from my chair on education.
Thank you.
Thank you both. I see no hands online. But, no, it was probably on. But thank you very, very, very much. The hottest topic I will not touch because we will have hours of it if you feel like listening to our Northwest Battery Park City DEIS comment. We ended up, just to be in all clarity, because of the complexity of what it is, the size of the project of what it is, and how much of CB1 it touches, we ended up needing to contract for outside help to review it all. Because there just wasn't enough time for a community board who resumes in September to be able to get it done by October 7th with our calendar and stuff. So I'm glad that we were fortunate enough to have that opportunity, but A lot.
Well, that's a lot, and a lot is being thrown at community boards, frankly, by the administration. So it's challenging.
My only other thing that I'd like to tell you about that does hit into the state assembly, it is absolutely galling beyond reality what the CCB has done. Cannabis Control Board. They, we have 2 resolutions on their lovely, lovely plans. They put forth and approved. I mean, first of all, they have public meetings that they pass all of their resolutions, do whatever they want, and then the public comments at the end. So they actually never hear from the public to opine on anything. They've already voted, so it doesn't make a difference. Which includes the fact, if you look at our resolution, which we're happy to share with you, about their new rules that they can apply a waiver. So the 1,000 rule that applies for distancing would no longer apply. And the reasons, whatever the applicant says, is one of the reasons in there. Another reason is because there are a lot of illegal stores and legal stores. I mean, it looks, it's almost galling that where it came out of. And I know that it's public comment, but I just think that the state needs to take a look at what the intention of what was passed and the outcome of what's going on. It's definitely left hand, right hand, no conversation. And to tell me that the state does not understand what a public youth facility is and couldn't have put it in state law and relies on a local municipality, the municipality should be able to add to that. But I mean, there's a baseline to tell me that it's okay to open a cannabis store next to the children's playground and next to a public youth facility. I just don't think that they're interpreting the intention that the state anticipated.
I will say, that the entire rollout, start to finish, and what's happened since is sort of a manure show. While I was agitated because we had the first licensed, stores down here, I'm happy to say that it is a complete uproar everywhere, which is good, because now it's not just a few of us complaining. Now everybody's on fire. So I hear that. We will look at it, in more detail, and,
Okay.
The sheriff apparently is one of those in the soup as well, who is responsible for all of this, which isn't really surprising, it was guy years ago.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Dan is here, but Senator Kavanaugh is not, and we do want to move to the business session. I'm gonna ask Dan if you don't mind truncating your report. And we would say, does anybody have any questions for Senator Kavanaugh's office?
Another one?
That has not been asked already by anybody else. Okay, hearing none and seeing none, Dan, you get 2 seconds if you have anything you want to really roll through before we get going.
That's appealing, Tammy, but I don't, truncation has been granted. I'll let you guys get on with your meeting, but reach out if you have any questions. You all know me, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, Zach, take it away.
All right, some office updates. The website, mock-up is going to be ready for review on Tuesday. If you want to join us Tuesday, October 1st, 1 p.m. to review that mock-up, you can join us. Just email me and I'll put you on the calendar invite. The conference room painting is complete. Thank you, Pat and Tammy, for your artistic direction.
All Pat.
We have one more piece of chair rails are going in hopefully later this week to protect the wall from the chairs. Some scheduling changes in October because of the holidays. Battery Park City and Transportation Committee meetings will be on the same day, on Tuesday. And EPC is moved to Monday, the 21st, which is the day before the full board. Next slide.
Funny, when I did slide seven, but we think a lot of it.
Okay, so we got a response to our letter to the New York State DOT about the 9A study that we had heard about. Thank you to the Borough President's Office who helped support that letter. And the information we got back is that work is going to begin soon on the study, and it will take 2 years for the study. And they'll be doing local outreach, including a partnership committee and a public involvement plan. We don't know what those are, but we have asked for follow-up on what those are. They're going to focus the study on multimodal transport, urban planning, and resiliency, as we've requested they look at as well. Thank you, Alice, for that. Some construction updates. The Trinity Place reconstruction project began on the 10th, and it will go to December 2028. It goes from Morris to Cedar, curb, stormwater, ADA utilities, $19 million project. That's gonna be happening for a while. Also on Front Street, the cobblestones are being placed at Front and Fletcher. Some local art is getting put in, just flagging this, if you see it on Park Row, as part of the Chinatown SIP. They have decided on what artwork to put in, and this will be going on the Jersey Barriers. And the next slide on the Brooklyn Bridge stairwell. So look for that coming soon. And that's it for me.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll run through the chair report. Been a busy month. Thanks for those who came to the 9/11 Survivor Tree Community Event. It is now going to be a permanent event. We're working on the timing, so we're not there while the pipe and drum corps are practicing. So it is a community event sponsored by Community Board 1 for 9/11 survivors, who lived, worked, and went to school here. We meet at the Survivor Tree. We gather at 1, we go to the Survivor Tree. It will be earlier than this year, so we are not interfering with the closing ceremony of the day. And on the left, the Battery Park City Block Party came back this year. It was an incredible event. It was nice to see. We haven't had a block party in, I think, 7 years, 6 years, something like that. So it was a lovely event. They honored Matthew Fenton from the Broadsheet for his tireless reporting, which was lovely. They honored our girls softball league inventor, which was lovely, as well as one of the Manhattan Youth leads. So it was really a fantastic community event, and probably the last time that we'll be over in that corner. Those not legals, okay, those are parked across the street. It's the bane of our existence, the Blackbirds. They're parked in the press lot, but one is a construction worker with a hat in the windshield. The other one was a decast bag in the window. Please, I'm begging you. You see something like that, take a picture, post it to 311. Next slide. Okay. New York NYPD First Precinct Community Council is Thursday, the 26th. We want to say thank you to Captain Rosenthal, who is being promoted up to 1 PP. It's a huge loss for the First Precinct for our community board. He's only been with us a short time, but he's really been motivational and transitional in great ways. So it's a sad thing to lose him. I will also announce, though, that the 5th precinct is also taken somebody up to 1 PP. So they are in the process of interviewing for a new chief there. As Zach said, for the holidays, take a look. October's a really funky month because of the holidays, but we'll have at some point a Chinatown working group meeting pursuant to the questions that were raised here. We did reach out to EDC and DOT and ask if they would be willing to come to a community board meeting in October to talk about the progress. Tentatively, there'll be a climate coalition of Lower Manhattan sometime tentatively around the 21st of October. And then we're looking forward to hearing about the Brooklyn Bridge arches and the promenade update, which in association with Gotham Park, and we think maybe October, maybe November. Next slide. Enjoy the weather. See something, say something. Jared brought to our attention the amount of graffiti that is just everywhere. So please, if you see graffiti, report it to 311. If you see somebody actually doing it, report it to 911. And we found out from DSNY that they actually will go ahead and clean the poles. DOT will clean the poles if it affects the operation of it. And DSNY will clean the pole if it is cosmetic, like the one you see here on the bottom left. So you need an address, a specific location, and a photo. File it for 311. If you get a response that says, so sorry, we can't do that, please send it to the office and we'll send it directly to DSNY.
Do you know how long it would take?
Yeah, I wish. It's a good question. Yeah, okay, Executive Committee, Northwest Battery Park City. We have a resolution that is about public comment. I have me personally, I have 3 amendments to add. You want to go first? If not, I'll go last.
No, go first. Well,
I was going to propose an amendment along the lines of what Justine was mentioning with regard to the public art.
Yep.
Absolutely. I did take a look at the EIS in the interim. The public art is mentioned in one significant place, however, the project will destroy a piece of public art and there is no mitigation measure described. And that piece of public art is the upper room at the end of Albany Street and the Esplanade. So I have some suggested language to put in. It's under the section dealing with urban design and visual resources, which is 3.4, and the resolution is organized in that manner.
Should it be in 3.4 and 3.3 cultural resources?
Cultural resources seems to be focused on historical resources, not as is. I mean, the art is addressed in the EIS under 3.4.
Okay.
And so I would suggest putting it at the very end of that section, under a heading, public art. And then I'll try to read slowly what I scribbled here if I can.
Read slowly and then email it to the office so we can
Yeah.
add it as an addendum.
I can do that. So, under the heading public art, the DEIS notes the many existing public artworks throughout the project area. The impact of the project on the public art is only described in vague terms. For example, regarding the public art in Reach 6, the DEIS states, quote, let's see here. This is quote, the proposed project may affect some of the public art located along the Esplanade, pending ongoing discussions with BPCA, close quote. Then it goes on to say that the upper room will be decommissioned. And then,
So there's absolutely no way that they plan to save it.
well, that's, they say,
Decommissioned is demolished.
actually, they may even say demolished, so let me just get the, decommissioned is what they say. So then I would go on to say, notwithstanding the loss of a large piece of well-loved and well-used public art, the DEIS concludes that the project would not result in any significant adverse effect on the urban design and visual resources in Reach 6, period.
However, the whole thing is being demolished.
Yeah, well, yeah,
That's
that was your
I'll
language so
say,
far.
However, that's what they.
Yeah, that, yeah, he's not finished.
New sentence, CV1 disagrees, is conclusion. And then going on to say, mitigation measures for the loss of the upper room and on adverse effects of any other public art should be addressed in the FEIS.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
And
This is what they like that, right?
I mean,
email it.
Just so you all know, I walk by there every night. I have witnessed 2 marriages in the last 2 weeks.
listen, I was there almost every night during COVID, so.
Yes.
I would, yes, I think we should definitely put that in because we omitted it and that was a large topic of conversation, but I'd also like to put a line in there that says that we'd like to find a way to save it or
Yeah.
recreate in kind with the artist.
Yeah, because they talked about recreating in kind with the artist.
They say they're still
but
in
they didn't
discussions
put it
with
on
the
paper.
artist, but they have not addressed it in the DEIS and
Okay.
everything.
So I think.
Anybody have anything else on it? I have 3. Alice, you go. And please, the office.
Under consistency with local plans,
Which is.
I would, 3.1, page 3. I would get rid of the word local, on that, consistency with plan, existing plan. And I would, or if you want to keep local, fine, but then in the 1, 2, 3rd paragraph, under consistency with plans, I would, ask that something that one group in the committee, please provide details describing the proposed project's consistency with other federal, state, and city planning initiatives.
Okay.
Okay, 1.
You're gonna email that?
Yep. The second is under, I think it would be under water and sewer infrastructure, pump box.
Hey, tell us.
You're good. Okay, yep.
Sorry, page.
That's 3.7.
3.7.
Page
You know, I think he has done a terrific testimony, and I don't know that it's actually captured here entirely, and I think that he was looking for an assurance that whatever this infrastructure is, it's being introduced. For the sort of, I don't know, the sanctity of the estuary. Do you remember anything about that? Anyway,
I got it.
That was from the Hudson Park.
I got it because I said it at the meeting, so just give me a second.
All right, well,
And I can frame that for the record and.
surprised it wasn't in here, but I don't think it was.
Yep. So, I'll find it. Keep going.
And then the last one would be under public engagement process. I don't know if anybody else had this problem, but I've looked at this document and tried many, many times. And I also tried to forward it to many people asking for it, and it was near impossible to do that because there was no single link. And I've got Justine nodding the head over there that allowed for this to happen. And I would even say up until today. And I really find that really suspect and deplorable. That was not the case with South Battery.
So what do you want to?
So I just want to line that up. I won't necessarily have to say all that, but I would say that, yes, since the DEIS was published on whatever the date is, which we'll have, there was no readily accessible link for the public to review this information.
Easily, can we
No,
say
no.
easily
Say
accessible?
separate,
Easily accessible.
dedicated. Separate, dedicated, that allow the public to easily find it, because you have to search. right?
Yeah, it was there.
Okay.
It was there, but it was impossible to.
People that are still as fanatic.
So easily, easily is my
So I
word.
would say the Battery Park City Authority must ensure that information concerning the DEIS and the subsequent FEIS are easily accessible.
Yes.
In any internet search.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally on board.
So for the things that I had, Eric? Okay, the waters, okay, so this is where the CSO comes out, where the water and sewer infrastructure. We want to consider whether or not it was a question of whether or not Battery Park City could alternatively connect to a different CSO that empties further west into the Hudson, because the one they're connecting to goes directly into the estuarium, and the Hudson River Park estuary is now considered an environmentally sensitive water body. So the questions became whether or not the increased CSO discharges will negatively impact and how it will impact the water quality and habitat in the sanctuary, especially considering that area has very poor water circulation, a variety of on-water activities from sailing and nearby kayaking. And then, yep.
When we were at the meetings on that point, was I hearing it that they want to run like a new pipe out to the Hudson?
No, they're connecting to an existing pipe that that goes into where the mooring field is, in between the back of Sky and Pier 25. So that's where
they want to.
Right.
That's where the plan proposes.
That's where the plan is, and the concerns are that the potential impact on the water quality
I understood
in
that
that area.
Remember at the meeting, they were saying that have it flow out to the end.
Right, so what they want, what we said at the meeting was, instead of connecting to the CSO that goes there, is it possible to connect somehow to one of the CSOs that empties at the end further west?
It was a request to review an alternative that is indicated, sir, the other CSO is?
No, I mean, I don't want to get into that, that's not.
Yeah, no, because somehow I interpreted that people were asking for like a new pipe.
I think that's what he was asking for, is to extend the exit of that CFO out
Use that
to
same
the.
center, but have it like a whole new pipe get put out for the.
But that's the thought we're conveying, so how.
The question is, it's for them to figure out a way to get there.
No, I thought I agree, add it in the Hudson, but I was hearing something different in the meeting. Maybe
And
I
then-
interpreted it different.
No, I think it's, either connect to a different CSO or extend the pipe.
Yeah, I'd love to give them a hint on that direction, because I agree
We can do that.
100% with your assessment.
And then the other thing that, was said by Tom was to find a way to basically store the untreated runoff and send to a water treatment plant instead of putting it through the CSO.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I don't think.
the idea of the CSO is because you can't do that.
Do that.
That,
Right.
otherwise you would do that, but because
Just
of
too
the.
much, right? Is that the problem?
Agreed. Okay, so those were, and the last thing that I had, water, are the rats. And I say this, and I'm not sure where, I have to figure out.
Construction mitigation.
Yeah.
Thank you, construction mitigation. Battery Park City, one of the things we have learned for construction, they are going over areas that were built in the 60s and 70s. So that ground has not been disturbed in a very long time. If I can take lessons from other construction projects, not only in our district, but in others, the local flora and fauna who lives in those beds, who come out at night, will find a new place to go. So a super robust, mitigation
That needs to get added.
needs to be there.
Great thought. You are so right.
No.
It's so, that.
I don't know how you had that thought, but that's a great.
Stay right by my feet.
Put in the Whole Foods big complex.
Right.
It's just unbelievable.
If you want to look at that, so that's actually a really great example, because when they took down the row houses on Chambers Street, right, and they built the brand new building and the Whole Foods building, all of the local below ground critters had to go somewhere. And they went into a lot of the other buildings, which includes the schools across the street, includes anywhere you can find a little hole. So this will be a massive project that has that same impact from Northmore all the way down. Different than Wagner, because Wagner, they just ripped everything out and fenced everything in that way. So it's different. And it's right up against all the buildings. So I think that that's a really super important one under construction mitigation. And with that, my three are done. Sarah?
Tammy, I have my hand raised, if that's okay with you.
Go ahead, Bob.
We're gonna go Bob online.
Yeah.
Bob, go.
Thanks. Thanks. I have a lot to say about rats, but we have no rats at the downtown community center, but it takes a lot of work. And at the pier, we've been able to mitigate rats. But what I do want to mention, because I'm not really up to speed on it, is that the waters between Battery Park City, Pier 25 and Pier 25, 26 and Pier 40 are constantly, this after rains, it's filthy. And that, I think we can all agree on that. And we've actually looked at using our volleyball nets to get some of that stuff out. I mean, it's because it definitely, from the river, it goes to the ocean, and it's a big problem. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. That's one of the concerns that we had about the water runoff going into that area. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, in the room, Sarah, Justine, and then Wendy.
I've had a couple of gateway tenants, actually, I don't know, maybe half a dozen, stop me to talk about dust mitigation. And Justine has more to say about that, so I defer to her. Well, yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you, Sarah. So reading on page 8, under hazardous material, that they have found in the samplings they've done, they found mercury, arsenic, chloroform, blah, 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 gross stuff that could be in the dust. I don't understand, and maybe this is just me, I don't understand how landscaped areas being covered with a soil cap is gonna be enough to keep it, like, what's gonna happen when it's exposed?
I mean, that's what it is now.
What does that mean? Tell me, this is.
Stuff is there now.
It's there now, but it's underground, under grass.
Well,
Or-
under a cap,
Yeah, oh,
and they're
right.
proposing to do the same thing, put it back under a cap again.
What's the mitigation in the process? And that's what.
Well, there's the air monitoring, and we're talking about the air monitoring here,
And
Are they taking it all out and putting it back and the same stuff?
I think so.
probably, yeah, and then they're gonna cover it again.
Actually, I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look at the EIS. I think they may be taking away the toxic stuff that they're removing and
Because it
replacing
says
with
about
clean
taking
fill.
away
Yeah.
in this resolution, it says
Yeah,
that.
I think anything they dig up that's in that condition, they're not gonna put it back. They're gonna replace it with clean fill.
So what, the people that I live near are concerned about, because remember, Gateway's getting this instruction on 2 sides, and for 36 months on one side and 52 on the other. They're concerned about everything coming up as everything is being transferred and everything is being drilled and everything is being all that, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's already increasing the dust in some people's apartments. Already. And they haven't started.
So what's the ask to add?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, is to say,
That's what we're trying to do.
I don't know that air quality monitoring
That's
is a must, but suppression is what I want, right? At that word of suppression, or somehow where,
I need more clarity. So
Yeah, I
if you're
know.
looking for more robust dust.
mitigation is a great word.
But it really is.
But the FEIS, how about that the FEIS presents a very clear and comprehensive
Plan for dust mitigation, because they just,
They have a pretty
Yeah, I
detailed
mean, I don't
discussion
know.
of it already in the draft EIS.
yeah, but yes, they discuss it, but I don't, what happens when it's not enough? And it's not fair to them.
Well, I think
We're
we
not
addressed
fair.
that.
They're gonna make dust.
I'm pretty sure we addressed that in our.
And the monitoring, and then you stop and then they water it down and that's.
I think
that's
that's
it.
how that works.
I think we have
We have to deal with them.
HEPA filters.
Then that's where you go with the HEPA, and they talk about that later, which is great, the HEPA filters and the, I really love the. They're not giving one to each apartment. That's what we're asking for.
Yeah, it's in.
Yeah, I told you how we want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get it either, but.
Wendy and then Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, so, what section is this? This is section 3.1 construction.
Mhm.
And paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. I like that they say in here, please identify since it's clearly unacceptable noise level. This, will not have the appropriate ventilation, closed windows, and, the noise level. It says, this is where I think it needs more language, and I These work on it, but I'm right out there. The, should discuss in detail how noise impacts from those directly impacted buildings will be mitigated. And I think it should be something more specific to say, and alternative spaces found for people who work from home or.
That's in there.
It's in there.
That's in there.
It's in there further down.
Okay, did I miss that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely.
Look at 4.0 under construction notes.
Yeah, there's a separate mitigation, the way it's kind of organized in a couple ways.
I got them.
Okay, sorry about that, but I did not.
You know, that's in there.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, did you put your hand back up? I think Bob went. I think he's good. All right, Wendy, it's there.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. It's a huge document, I get it. So, seeing no hands, oh, Pat West, oh. I forgot you.
Do you have in there, generator noise and light?
No.
Because World Trade Center killed us with generator noise and light.
Jeff, can you draft the comment for us about generator noise and lights?
I will.
Thank you, and send that to the board. Thank you, Pat, for that catch. We did miss that. That is huge. And actually, we've had impacts because the barges on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll drive you crazy and lights at, you know, at midnight.
Well, it's dual, so yeah.
Do they have permission to work at night?
They do.
But also.
Well, I mean, generally, they won't be working at night, but utility work in the roadways has to be
Has
done.
to be available, yes.
Just one piece for Alice's, yours, the FEIS. I would suggest change it to, on the website, instead of, easily found by search engines.
Yeah.
They can actually control whether the search engine finds it, but if they
So-
put it on their homepage, like readily found on that homepage, I think.
Done on the whole thing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
All right. Did you ask a question a second ago?
No.
Well, all the questions.
Second.
All right, so understand that we've had a lot of people who showed up after we did the initial roll call. I'm gonna assume this is a vote by affirmation. We have a long list of people who came afterwards. You will need to say your last name and your vote. You have all those names. And please wait, because our assistant secretary will call your name. So all those, we assume a yes. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Hearing none, Brandon, take it away.
Okay, starting with, I don't see Emma Russo, so I'm gonna start with Brown Kennedy. Katie might have left.
I swore I saw
She
her.
was here.
She did come in.
After me, Warren Kennedy.
Moving on, Curtis.
Forgot mine.
Oh, we didn't forget.
What? I saw Brian on the.
No, sweetie, you were here for the first vote. This is just people who weren't.
The Curtis is out.
Yeah.
Okay. Herman.
Approving me, I'm pretty sure you.
Not here.
Forsberg.
Yeah.
Not here.
Goodkind.
Don't share.
Hernandez.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you vote? Thank you.
James.
Yeah, I'm a yes.
Joyce.
Joyce, yes?
Kennel,
yes.
Copel.
Copel.
Yes.
Anya.
Yes.
Okay. Steer.
Nope, he's out for the night.
Verisong.
No.
Townley.
Townley's yes.
That's it. All right. Fantastic. Moving on. It's a hell of a busy month. The Cannabis Control Board approved resolution regarding the 2,000 foot waivers. Does we're gonna take that and the request for city council to pass a local law establishing distance requirements for cannabis stores from a public facility. Does anybody have any questions on either one of them? Seeing no questions in the room.
And then call the questions? Second.
Fantastic. So we'll do this by a vote for affirmation. Are there any noes? Are there any abstentions? Any recusals? Motion passes, both of them. Fantastic. Cannabis applications. We had one resolution for those two who no showed. So this is also a vote by affirmation. We're going to take them together. Are there any noes?
Would I have to call the question?
Oh, yeah, please.
Call the question.
Second. Thank you. Sorry. Are there any noes? Hearing none. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none. Are there any recusals? Hearing none. Motion passes. 108, 119 South Street. I have to say the guy came. He was incredibly awesome. He will come back next month because he wasn't 100% prepared. But he sat through all the other presentations and actually gave us advice on the 1,000-foot rule and everything. So, I mean, wow, that was pretty cool.
And listen, willing to listen to.
That was really, yeah, he was great to actually chat with. Okay, next slide, please. Connections meeting. Thank you to Eric Yu who went. You've seen the SIP stuff. I should have 3 slides. There you go. Here you go. This is an update Eric briefly spoke about. The traffic study is on the left. The design team announcement on the right. They selected Marvell to lead the architectural design scope work for Chinatown Connection. We did request EDC and DOT to come and talk to us because they completed the data collection for the traffic study, which I'm really curious about. They had told us initially in the working group that they couldn't complete it at least until the end of June because the Trump trial prevented them from getting accurate counts. They can only do it 1 or 2 days a week. So I'm really quite curious. We'll see if they're willing to come for October. Next slide. Zach has showed you some of the artwork already. The bus island has now gone in for Park Row and Worth Street. So there's now a separate floating bus island. Curb extensions should be done by the end of the week. And there we go, markings and the art. All right. With that, it's budget time. So I know it was a busy month for September. Everybody has to take a look at your budget stuff for October. Please take a look at the links when they're shared with you. Search, anything you need to see beforehand. Our goal is to take a look at what the city has said. If we can shrink our budget requests down a little bit, that's great. If we can't, we can't, but let's not add 1,000 more because they get ignored. And that's my pet talk for October. Transportation, Betty.
Thank you, everybody. We have 2 resolutions to talk about. Before I talk about those, I'd like to mention that the request for a bus route on West Street, the last item, actually is going to be coming up again in October. So next Tuesday, if it interests you, you can join with them. As far as protected bike lane improvements at the Brooklyn Bridge entrance on Center Street, resolution, go to the next slide. It'll be easy if you can see what it is. This should look familiar because this is the current condition as it is. So as when you leave here, you go, what you see inside that fenced area that's concrete, that's kind of a triangle, is what they're going to call a promenade. And you can see that the pedestrians and the bicyclists share that going all the way back to where we cross again. Also, as you see the dark grayish black lines on it, that's supposed to show the bicycles going in either direction. And the problem of how tight a hairpin turn they have to make while worrying about the people coming up behind them, pedestrians moving around in front of them. It is kind of chaotic, and this was the main purpose for this proposal. We're dealing with this. Next, so you can see what they're recommending in that same location. For that promenade or a cemented area, it'd be only for pedestrians. What they've done is added, you can see the green bike lane going back, or going south, actually on the east side, on the west side of that concrete area. That way, cyclists are either coming to or from going south or going west through City Hall Park would be taking that route.
Are we getting rid of the pedestrian crossing there? No, the pedestrian
I
crossing.
think it's down at the far end, which is, I'm talking about, everyone will cross at the far end.
Where that car is.
Well, there's one right very beginning.
Yeah.
Understood.
No, like, right now, you cross where that little triangle.
They're trying to get the vehicles out of the promenade area where the pedestrians are by building a turn for them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand.
The pedestrians would still cross where they do on the south side and on the north side. So at the bottom of the slide is where we walk across to come to this door.
No, I go across where they're up.
And if you come out like across from City Hall Park
Yeah.
and do that crossing there, it stays exactly the same.
The bikes. You see the crossing?
Except one on the
You see the crossing, it's the green, the bikes, or the pedestrians?
The green is the bikes.
Bikes.
But right now pedestrians cross where the green is.
No,
No, that's not.
Stay on the cement and walk along.
do you see where that one separate car is? You see it says Brooklyn Bridge, and then there's two cars, and below one car is the pedestrian walkway? That's the pedestrian walkway that leads you to the island, and then you walk south on the island, and then it crosses at the end of where you see this green line stop at the top.
Bikes and the pedestrians. So there's a new crossing.
No.
It's the same exact line.
Can we back up the slide?
Bicycles will get there differently. It's the only difference. Bicycles will get
Can you just back up the slide so we
Can
can
you
see
go back
the
one?
existing conditions?
Yeah.
You're saying you cross from a different location.
Same crosswalk.
I see what you mean.
The
Okay,
bicycles are on that cement.
I understand, I understand.
So the bicycle is going to take the green bike lane?
Yeah,
It's gonna be a green bike
Putting
lane.
it on the other side.
Yeah, that's leading, I understand, yes.
So that white car.
So instead of like in
Two cars.
her turning into pedestrians who are trying to cross over.
Right now, there's a cement wall,
Bikes will go
and you
this way.
can't cross.
No, I know, I cross there all the time, yes.
I do this all the time.
Yeah, I just misunderstood. Can you advance again? I just misunderstood the
That's okay.
new.
It's a complicated
I
intersection.
see, okay.
So keep going, Betty, because it was a rather robust meeting.
Yes, it was. That's why I hope everyone read it because there are a lot of details to it. Hence what the conclusion was, what's recommended, is that it is support for this because it is needed for the reasons we just spoke about. But again, it goes back to all of the various points and suggestions that were made within the text of the resolution. You see. Also urging NYPD to develop and implement a rollout plan because it was concerned about the implementation period, that there wouldn't be enough people understanding the changes in HIPAA's work.
Yeah, sure.
That's all I have to say about it. unless there-
I thought in the meeting that we asked them not to go with this exact plan and that we asked them to take into consideration our concerns and come back with a new plan or reasons why a new plan couldn't work based on our questions and suggestions. We did not approve this particular plan as is. We asked them to come back, which they said they would be able to do in Q1 and still get something done.
That's not my understanding either. My understanding is what it says here, and I didn't even write this. But to reassess the Brooklyn Bridge and friends, I think that was very clear. And then to return to the committee is appropriate, because it's an ongoing, because this is a very fluid area that has been changing all along. It's gonna continue to change.
My understanding was we approved the concept of understanding that it needed improvement, but not this particular one. And I would think if anybody else was
Yeah, I
in
would
the room with me,
I would agree.
Brendan,
Yes,
and then Eric.
because we wanted them to come back, so we agreed with the concept of this, but they had not taken pedestrians into enough consideration, so that's why we asked them to come back.
Change it to does not support. I support it, but change it to does not support.
I believe the way I read it, I mean, it's how it supports the Department of Transportation proposed changes, but due to concerns noted above, CB1 urges DOT to reassess the Brooklyn Bridge entrance and return to the Transportation Committee as appropriate to present data, report on progress and share in future.
See, but that's.
Conditionally supports?
Hold on.
We didn't support the plan that they presented. We asked.
But why?
The concept,
We support the idea of
the concept.
concept, but not the, delve in details.
All right.
Like, I don't feel like
Before we
there-
discuss this, I have one.
Well, I should say supports the concept of.
Yeah.
The concept.
The concept, proposed concept of changing the entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. And you brought up that, Betty. Can I make a
All right,
friendly
hold on,
something?
hold on. Cody, so you would say, is the CB1 supports the concept of the Department of Transportation's proposed changes. However, due to concerns that above urges to reassess entrance and the return to the Transportation Committee to present a revised plan.
Yeah, Dave.
A revised plan, data, report on progress and share any future plans. Okay.
That's what I understood too.
Yeah, that sounds right. All right, I said Eric and then Morton and then somebody else said something. Eric?
Yeah, at the meeting, there was no agreement. Actually, most of us did agree that we wanted them to come back. And even the DOT rep agreed to come back around January 25. That wording, we agreed to the plan. That says we agreed to it.
We've now changed it. So
The concept.
I think we all agreed it needed to be improved, access.
Yeah.
Improved.
Yes.
Okay, just access. And then the details will come back later.
Yeah.
So the first therefore be resolved pursuant to what Cody and Brendan said was supports the concept of the DOT's proposed changes. Entrance and however, due to the concerns noted above, CB1 urges to reassess the Brooklyn Bridge entrance and return the Brooklyn Bridge bike path entrance and return to the Transportation Committee.
Present data, report.
To present data, a revised plan, report on progress and share future plans.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say in Q1 2025. Urges NYPD to develop those pedestrian managers for guidance and education. Okay, so one of the questions, in that, anybody else have, somebody else had a hand up? Morton.
All right, I am actually a frequent user of this path because I bike either from my home south of Brooklyn Bridge up to my office near Canal Street, or I often bike back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge. And the proposal actually appears to me to be a great improvement over the current condition. Because when you bike up from Lower Manhattan, north of the Brooklyn Bridge, you have to either go in that hairpin turn on Center Street, fight the pedestrian traffic to get onto the bike path, or you have to go against traffic to avoid the pedestrians on Center Street and then merge your way into the bike path. So that's not really a good idea, but it's also not a good idea to fight the pedestrians coming across the bridge. Also coming back from Brooklyn Bridge to go back downtown, you come down, you go and you fight the pedestrians, you have to make a left turn, fight more pedestrians to get into the street. So,
Okay, next time definitely come to the meeting. That's all I'm gonna say. If anybody who bicycles or walks or goes through that, please come to the meeting because it was truly robust. Catch up by watching the last month's thing. The only thing, Betty, I didn't see in here was, we asked for them to take a look at potentially having the bike lane on the
Right side.
west side of the street, you know, if there was a way to have them meet to the west so we could connect to the Park Row, directly into the Park Row bikeway that's south of that intersection.
There were one or two people who voiced that. There were many who did not say anything on that. The DOT was very clear that you'd have to cross Center Street one way or the other. If you're trying to cross and you don't want to use the crosswalk that exists, which is what their route is going to do, how else are you going to get to the other side of the street to get to the bike lane on Park Row? So I know I did not hear a consensus of people saying, let's create something new that the DOT says. We looked at all
We
that.
asked them to take a look at all options, which would have included that.
Well,
So
then it says that.
did it say here and I missed it? I apologize.
Options is all option. I mean, that's.
Was that what the detailed the parking that we talked about where we definitely wanted. Concerned about the impact on, and I'd like to whereas, if you don't mind, that 1, 2, 3, 4, while the DOT's plan appears reasonable on the face, there is a concern about its impact. Impact on what?
Well, that's my question.
I thought we were talking about pedestrians, because it doesn't solve the pedestrian interface at the southernmost crossing.
It does for me, but
Then you still have bicyclists that are you have bicyclists coming down
you have to go east and west. And they're still going east and west.
and also north and south.
Well, once, like everybody else, once you
Right,
cross the street, you're gonna go one way or the other.
So I'd like to make a friendly amendment that they include that intersection to study. So instead of having the bicycles coming from 3 different points, that they try and reduce it. Because right now, the way they have it, they have the bicycles coming down the east side of Park Row, bicycles coming up the west side of Park Row, and bicycles coming across from City Hall Park.
What about saying that have them study it, because there are multiple things in there, where people suggested different ways they wanted to deal with the crossing. That you can see with having groupings and having them cross at different intervals, having cyclists and pedestrians cross at different, and there are a number of things that are mentioned in there. So I don't think we need to get more complex than what already said. Just ask them to include looking specifically at that in a
southern crossing.
I mean, another alternative, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Cody.
Another alternative too, I think we touched on it, on a potential, connector bike lane on Chambers Street that comes from the west to the east, that feeds into that should take away traffic from the crosswalk, crossing over to City Hall Park, which is chaos and happening to rush hour with bikes and pedestrians.
That was out of their scope.
Yes.
That was out of their scope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it to question unless there's,
Second.
Martha's hand has been raised.
Mark wasn't here for the whole presentation.
Go on.
Oh.
Here now. Oh, hey, Mark, how are you?
It was called and seconded.
I had my hand up before.
I'm sorry, I didn't even know you were here. Go for it.
What is the status of removing the left, like, from 1 lane, from 2 lanes to 1 lane?
What do you mean, what is the status?
Are we supporting that? I mean.
We asked them to come back, so
So
we're not.
the city in this resolution, whether we're supporting that particular, proposal.
So
Where it says reduce vehicle travel lanes from
that is
2
their,
lanes to 1 lane by removing a left lane enter. Is that supported in this resolution? I mean, it's so convoluted, I can't tell.
what we asked them was to come back.
So nothing.
So we have not supported the 100% of this plan. They will come back in the first quarter to take a look at and present a new plan. If you want to take a look, they did do traffic counts, which was at the meeting. I don't have those
If
slides.
you go back 2 slides.
You
it
can
is-
watch.
I never trust those traffic counts. The reason why is congestion.
Hey.
So just to be clear, the
ask them
resolution is not supporting that proposal.
Correct,
I just want to be clear on that.
correct. All right, so
Now I call.
second, it's called and seconded. So anyone who was not here for the last vote, after we do the vote by affirmation, must call out their vote. So assuming we're going vote by affirmation, are there any no's in the room?
Or so no.
Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Hearing none, seeing none, all votes and cameras online, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Right,
Next.
second resolution. And this one is, I'm sure most of you know by now. Wait a second, where did it go? Go back one. Somebody's trying to control. Thank you. The DOT Regional Slow Zone, which is below Canal Street and is hit by the Brooklyn Bridge, it goes up to Rutgers Street. So it's really all of our district and a little bit of CB3 area. A summary of the proposal for those who missed any of it. This will be all the roads and including and below Rutgers and Canal Street will be 20 miles per hour. All these reductions are 5 miles per hour, if you're wondering. So it's going from 25 to 20. West Street, south of Canal Street will go from 30 to 25 miles an hour. The speed limit will be reduced to 10 miles per hour on all current and future streets with pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists share the right of way, which I think is just one in our district. And open streets that have a substantial design upgrade. And again, that's theoretical, that's not necessarily in our district.
Anybody, Mark, give your hand up.
Again, for someone who drives all the time, reducing, I mean, the speed limit now is ridiculously low. Reducing the speed limit on West Street is even more of a ridiculous proposal. I mean, I just don't know what else to say, except the insanity of this, of these ideas and the transportation alternatives, radical proposals. You know, the anti-car, no cars in Manhattan anymore, the ultimate goal at the end of the, wherever, however, how long they want to have that done. This is just part of it. It makes absolutely no sense to reduce traffic. It's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna get, just the city will just get more speeding tickets for normal driving, which seems like normal driving. We drive 25, 30, 40 miles an hour.
Mark, it's been passed, so this is our public comment. Cody.
Just to, respond to that, I mean, driving at 25 miles an hour versus 30 miles an hour improves the stopping distance about 45 feet or 23%. We're driving bigger cars these days, SUVs, which have are proven to kill people quicker and more easily than sedans. Reduce crash rates, reducing speeds in general results in a decline in speed, crashes and.
Well, I just need everybody to drive 5 miles an hour then.
No.
Hold on. Cody, I apologize for interrupting you in the middle. We're not gonna yell, we're not gonna shout. Zach's got a timer. He's gonna time everybody for 2 minutes, Zach and Alice, and we're gonna keep going. Cody?
But the big point that you make that's actually true is speeding tickets and whether or not there'll be enforcement of this slow zone. And that's one of the things that we should also advocate for, because without any sort of enforcement, I think you'll still have,
Okay,
speeding.
thank you, Cody. Eric?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Betty, I actually voted against this proposal. It has it as unanimous, it wasn't.
Sorry.
And then also, by lowering the speed
Hold
limit.
on, let's get, for the office, can you correct that, please? Okay, go ahead.
And then also lowering the speed limit diminishes the utility of streets. We have to go from point A to point B. Also, this will impact businesses. We live here, it'll take longer to travel. If you're traveling within like 2 blocks, 3 blocks, it doesn't make a difference. But if you're traveling to Upper Manhattan, Queens, or Brooklyn, it just makes things slower in travel time. Now, also keep in mind, by lowering the speed limit, this will increase the arrival time of fire trucks and ambulances. So just keep that in mind. All vehicles will be slow. So just be aware of the consequences.
Okay, point made. Anybody else? Yep. Hi, Mariama.
Hi. Yeah, 10 miles an hour is slower than the bike speed. So I guess
Good point.
would have to push back on it. Yeah.
Good point. I'm sure. Anybody else? Call the question.
Second.
Question's been called, question's been seconded, so we're gonna go to vote by affirmation. Are there any no's? And please raise your hand so Brendan can get you. That's
Amoruso, emphatic no.
Galloway, no.
Cameron, no. A little louder, please, for the mic.
Cameron, no.
James, no. All right, hold on.
Flores, no.
Oh, no.
You, no.
Let's know.
Slow down. Okay.
Say no.
Lerner, no.
Hernandez, no.
No.
Is that you, Townley?
Yeah, that's me. Townley's no.
Did you get Lerner?
Yes?
Minson, no. I think 10 is too low. Maybe 15 or higher. 10 is too low, so I go no.
Well, can I say, wait, go back and I think I'm a little confused about what the 10 mile per hour is for.
What is it for? It wasn't 5 months.
It's where the pedestrians, the cyclists, and the motorists share the streets.
Isn't that
There's only one street
It's only one.
in this district that would be 10 miles an hour. It's a block.
That was a point of excavation. It's only one street.
Why does it
It's not at all.
All right, stop. A point of clarification was made that it is the shared streets and the open streets that are 10. Perhaps that should be a little bit clearer on the resolution, because on blocks or stretches with schools, it doesn't.
Here, 20 miles per hour is what schools.
So
Crazy. Okay.
where
Thought we were voting.
we were voting, but I'm concerned because I think it's
Debate it
gonna,
again.
I think it's gonna fail because people don't understand.
Yeah,
Mariana,
Between these shared streets, as in the official shared streets as part of the program,
Yeah.
and saying shared streets, because every street is shared. Every street is going to be
No,
both
not by
parks.
DOT.
As I'm saying, there's a difference between these shared streets and shared streets. Is that
Yeah,
right?
well,
It's yes.
There are lots of proposals to share a lot of other
That's what we
streets.
also
too.
share.
Voting, there should be no discussion.
can you count, I'm an abstention at this point. Can you count?
We were, well, you were 24 in favor.
I would-
I'm an abstention too. You didn't ask for abstentions.
Not a regular shared street.
Paul, you said
Paul
you're
is an
abstaining?
abstention.
Thank you.
Why don't you just do a roll
Krishna?
call? Still don't understand what that shared street that's being referred to is. If someone could clarify that for me.
Anywhere in the bike lane.
Yeah, isn't it anywhere with
Well,
bike?
no, it isn't.
It's in our city.
Normally, it's a brown colored street. It's so rare that you have to go and find them. It is a very distinct thing that the DOT has. And it means there is no distinction between, well, the cars can't go on the sidewalk. But nevertheless, the pedestrians that could be on the sidewalk could be on the street bed, the road bed as
It's
well.
not as if side streets are going to be like 10 miles an hour. No. It's only.
It's open, okay, so it says speed limits are reduced to 10 miles an hour on all current and future streets where pedestrians, cyclists, motorists share the right of way, e.g. shared streets, and open streets that have substantial design upgrades.
Do you know the current miles?
So we understood it correctly.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
When it says West Street,
So, well, West Street, they already announced West Street was
No,
different.
no.
it says West Street's gonna be reduced to 25 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah, from 35, from 35
We're
down
talking
to
about something like that.
That's
like high.
It's going from 30 to 25.
Yeah, I understand, that's why.
All right. So motion fails with 24,
You can take offense to that, but it's gonna fail if we're already there. I'm gonna abstain too.
okay, hold on. So far I have 2 abstentions. Who's the other abstention?
Well, I didn't
Oh,
vote, I vote no.
Copel votes no. Rossi abstains. Cassell abstains.
Now that I understand the.
So me voting yes, that would mean that I would vote for Tim.
We're supporting the reduction in the speed.
Other reductions.
Okay, now call out names.
Cassell was
Abstain.
Cassell abstained.
Kucha abstains.
And Goldstein abstained.
Slow down.
hold on, Goldstein.
Yeah.
Foreman abstained.
Foreman?
It's the C's.
Yeah, the seat.
Okay.
It's Norman, Kucha, and Cassell. C lot, and Rossi.
And Russell.
He's in the wrong way. He abstained.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Goldstein, are you an abstention or a no?
Abstain.
Zelter.
Abstention, abstain.
Zelter
abstained.
And you were abstaining. This long ago.
I voted for it in the committee.
I did vote for it in the committee, I know.
Yeah.
I know, I did.
All right, so can I get,
Yeah, 18, 13, 5.
okay, so can you call out the vote again? Yeas, noes,
18,
noes.
opposed 13, abstaining 5.
Tie.
Do we have 36 people?
Well, then it doesn't carry.
Guess we can't hear no.
So motion does not carry.
But what does that mean?
Doesn't mean, it means we don't have.
It means we have no vote.
It doesn't happen anyway, it just.
It means that we say nothing.
This is Tricia.
Could we keep going?
Oh, you're missing Tricia.
We have 8 more committees.
I'm gonna abstain.
Motion fails.
Okay, but what was the
Because
question?
Tricia's the 37th vote, and she abstained, so motion fails.
Next up.
What's good is that?
So why not, rather than say nothing, we just say we disagree with it?
Yeah, why don't we have a resolution saying no?
Well, that can be taken up under new business if we want to do a resolution that says we do not agree with the way it's
Yes.
currently laid out. Which we can take up under new business when we're done.
It's 8:30.
You can take it up now,
Yes.
your discretion.
Nope,
To take it up.
because it's 8:30, we have a giant
Yeah, we do.
agenda, so let's keep going, and
Thank you.
we'll take it up under new. Debbie already said, you want, any other comments about the bus on West Street? October. And you'll have a letter also in October, hopefully, from the Hudson River Park Trust Advisory Council requesting, that the state DOT evaluate bus stops on the west side.
Okay, so I want to get Little League and some other gifts.
How far up would it go?
Right, let's say, Doug.
I think 59.
Securities.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much, Debbie. Stick around because we're gonna do. thing at the end.
Should have more slide sheet.
You had another slide?
The moped.
Can you go back?
Well, no,
That's part of
that's
it.
something we're concerned about. The vehicles, or not vehicles, but the bicycles don't have speedometers on them. So what was said in the resolution, if people had read it at all, was opining to make comments about what are you gonna do about letting these people on e-bikes know what your speed is? Because some of them, like on class 3 bikes, can go faster than the speed limit. But how are they gonna know without a speedometer? The mopeds, limited use motorcycles, they of course have speedometers, so they, Boris, they don't.
Okay, let's move on. That's just informational and we'll take up new business at the end.
Is there something to be modified to goal method?
Yes. The answer is yes.
All right, absolutely.
Patrick, take it away.
New York City Department for the Aging wants to move from 2 Lafayette Street to 14 Wall Street. We had absolutely no problem with it. 14 Wall is completely within the secured zone of the NYPD for the New York Stock Exchange. So there'll be no parking issues, no placard issues. They don't have any placards or parking anyway. We had concerns about potential construction impacts. They have pretty good answers for that. They're moving into a relatively turnkey space. And we asked them what's going on with 2 Lafayette, which is a city-owned building, and whether there are future plans for that. As far as they're aware, there aren't any. So pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Second. Awesome, vote by acclamation, assuming you're busy. Are there any no's? Eric's no. Are there any other no's? No, hearing none. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none. Are there any recusals? And for the Department of Aging and Land Use, we are not going to go over his report for the 5G tower installations. The only thing, we've got it elsewhere. The only thing to understand from this is CB1 has signed on to be a consulting party agreement, so we will at least get notification. It's the only way that you can be notified when they're coming to your area. Next slide. Yeah.
Okay. So, Mariam, you want to go first with the resolution?
Okay, mine is pretty quick. I don't know if it's on the screen, I don't have my glasses. Okay, I see.
Yep.
11. So, over the past couple of years, because, I guess the government was like overly optimistic and didn't set aside enough money to cover all the people that would become sick and dying from 9/11 to cover the Zadroga bill, which lasts through the year 2090. So we had shortfalls over the past several years that thankfully, Senators Gillibrand and Schumer have been able to find mechanisms to fill, but we can't continue to go on in that way. So now the two of them, joined by Nadler, Goldman, and Garbarino, the Republican, and a couple of others have created the 9/11 Funding Correction Act, which would resolve those shortfalls permanently over a period of the next 10 years. And it's already paid for. The funding is set aside for other medical use, and they're just moving it into like reallocation. Yes, Mark?
As you know, I was a first responder.
I do know that.
I fall into that category of, which is sometimes overlooked as volunteer. So, when people necessarily read responders, they make an assumption that it was a firefighter, an EMT, someone, a union person. So I would just ask for an amendment of where it says the first 133 responders, comma, including volunteers.
Thank you. Because if you're in the, you joined the program,
Yeah.
and they came to find out that that was your means of eligibility, they would put you in the responder program.
We all know
Not
that,
the
we
survivor
know
program.
that,
So,
but
yeah,
as a general,
you can accept that right away.
thank you.
Yeah, call the question.
Second.
Yes.
Okay, vote by affirmation. Assuming everybody's a yes, are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Can I give an emphatic yes on this one?
Yeah, right.
No.
Right, so just quickly, everybody knows about the 320 proposed shelter, Centennial shelter at 320 Pearl. We had a very packed meeting, and we had about 100 people online, about 75 people in the room. CB1 is opposed. I want to say that over and over again. CB1 is opposed to the siting. We asked the representatives from DHS and DSS to come back next month. The main question that I had is this a fait accompli? Can we change this, either the siting or the shelter itself to become either an all women shelter or a affordable housing shelter? So we'll see, but we'll verify with them tomorrow. We are going to talk about the questions that we asked them and have them come back to answer questions next month. Yes.
And they confirmed at that meeting, if I'm correct, that they did not yet sign a contract to make it a safe haven shelter. So it can be anything, allegedly.
They said can't,
Allegedly.
but, right.
Allegedly.
We'll see. So that's that. Most of you have heard about the composting that's now going to happen, October 6th. I saw this on the table. There are still questions. I mean, I asked my management company, they know they have to do it, but they have no details on how they have to do it. I don't understand. It's October 6th and they still don't have details on how they're going to do it, what kind of canister they're going to use, how they're going to get the neighbors to do it so that it's not messy, how they're going to get the neighbors to comply at all. So anyway, I think it's still an issue and we'll see how it rolls out.
The SNY does have canisters for it on their
They said you
website.
could use your own. They said, your own.
Good, but they have.
You know, again, if residents are not gonna comply, if they're gonna make a mess.
Pat, for your building, grab one of these. These decals apparently are for use on outdoor garbage bins.
You know, I'm talking about composting.
I know, you got one for each.
Yeah, yeah, what I'm saying,
one
that
for
they
each.
still don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
some-
what's a compost?
Yes.
How?
Okay.
But anyway, we don't have to go through this one. Then 110 William Street they have been back and forth with us for quite a while. It is a project that's been going on and on and on. We have an issue now, and Patrick was very kind to stand outside that night.
Matt, I have to tell you, props to Patrick Cannell
Really?
for, when you talk about live issues, explaining to the operator.
Showing,
Literally standing
with
on the
his camera,
play by
showing people almost getting hit by cars. So. So we are going to have a walkthrough tomorrow. Thank you, Morton, for the, notifying us that the flaggers were not out there.
Our community board in action, after the meeting, the flaggers, we came out there And so Patrick and the Quality of Life Committee got the job done.
All right, so tomorrow we'll do a 4 o'clock walkthrough.
Yeah.
And that's my.
And it's open, yes? It's open at 110 William Street, people are accepting people.
You are way not on the right.
No.
This is in
Oh, well, sorry.
105 Washington.
Ah, never mind.
105 Washington, open this way.
W and W.
Just so everybody understands, there's a wall there, no one can see it across the street, no one can see if cars are coming.
Watch the video. I will tell you, that was one of the best things I've ever seen on a CBVA, so that was awesome.
Okay.
One question.
Yeah.
If you could just answer, I keep getting on the composting, does anyone know whether or not all of the containers can be actually left out on the street? Is that the assumption, that each one of the buildings leaves out the containers?
We know what's going
It has to go, and if you don't have any interior space?
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
People
that's-
still-
But then there is no place in the interior, so where does it go?
I don't-
That is not, nobody has got that information.
Exactly.
Certain days you're gonna have
Okay.
pickup.
Next,
You
next
can have it
minute.
out there.
Can I say something?
Somebody.
Can I say
That's fine,
something?
yeah.
Yes, on composting, I would like to say something. First of all, the DSNY website, for whoever says they don't know how to compost, the DSNY website has materials, flyers, material that you can print and give to everyone in your building, and you can also give to your management.
It's
I
all
think
about,
you don't know how to do it. Well, there is information. DSNY also has had webinars for building management teams to join. So I would recommend you tell your management teams to contact the DSNY for the webinars. So there are resources on the site. I'd like to just put it on the record that people can go to the website to get information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Environmental protection.
Let me just see what somebody else said. Okay, yep, we're gonna talk about the 5G cell towers. Deborah Glick gave a little bit of a idea of where, the history, a little bit of these. The city, as you all know, we've had very little city community engagement on this. What you're looking at is a tower that is in Chinatown. That's on the way to dinner. And it gives you an idea of why people don't go forward yet, are, a little bit upset in terms of the aesthetics, but many, many other concerns were addressed at our committee meeting. So just to understand, what you're looking at is a cell tower. It is also a pole. This is being installed by a group called City Bridge, which is in contract with the city to put in 2,000 of these cell towers. This is the same company that has put in the Link kiosks, which are different than cell towers, which you see today on city streets all over. And these are the 9-foot stainless steel boxes. This is a very different animal. And so this provides cell service. And at the top, that clunk on the top is where a carrier would put in the service. To understand, we have cell service currently. We are all on our phones and we have cell service. And I don't know that anyone is suffering from gaps in service here in Tribeca, Financial District, and South Street Seaport, which are where the 7 proposed sites are located, including one in front of 110 William Street. So, when these things started to be rolled out a couple of years ago, people went wild. And since then, pretty much every preservation group in New York City has opposed them. All of our local electeds throughout the city have opposed them. And every single community, most every community board that has been given a presentation has opposed them and asked for a moratorium on them. So they're clearly controversial for various reasons. So next slide is another one in the day. Okay, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Just to understand in terms of scale, that's 32 feet tall as versus the 9-foot kiosk that you see, 32 feet tall, that's over 3 stories. And the width of it, nobody really talks about it. If you look at a light pole, it's about 7 inches. This is 18 inches at its base. And when it has a terminal, which you would be using, which is allowed in all commercial areas, it will be 27 inches wide. That's this, okay? Next slide.
And 3 of those and 6 out of 8 are.
And so that's a picture showing you the link
this is something everyone doesn't really get. The Link kiosk is on the bottom right. That's what we see now. These are to scale drawings. The Link 5G, which we're calling a tower or a pole to help people out to understand the distinction between a kiosk and a pole, is what is being installed now. And this is being phased out. So already it's obsolete. The Link was giving 5G service for free. And this tower provides 5G and cell service, okay? That's the difference, and I just want to make sure that's clear. Next slide. This I thought was really helpful. This was given to the Public Design Commission just to illustrate the difference, but we were not given this slide, but I took it off of one of their websites. And so now you see on the left, the Link, in the middle, the 5G pole without the terminal, which would happen in most commercial areas. And then you're seeing to the right, two other things that if you look up, you'll see on a lot of poles all over New York City, which is existing and new 5G cells. The pole all the way on the right is showing you 5G service in that cone on the top on an existing pole, as is the one to the left. So in other words, this is being done. This is available. And so a lot of people, including our Manhattan Borough president, question, why don't we use the existing infrastructure? Good question. Okay, next slide. And so there you are. That shows you in plan what the scale of this is precisely. You can see this is the one that has the terminal that I was describing in advertising. Mostly the reason that we were given when we asked, why are you phasing out the other ones? And City Bridge commented, they're being phased out and shifted to have more advertising to allow for a second source of revenue. Okay, that was as such for anyone in the meeting.
Compromise of pedestrian.
So moving on, or who's doing that? Okay. So one of the things also left out of our presentation, which again was in the Public Design Commission presentation, is this slide showing the equity district's deployment mandate. The company City Bridge was mandated to provide cell service very reasonably to areas that need it. And I would repeat, Tribeca and the financial district, two of the wealthiest districts in the United States of America, is probably not considered an equity district, and it's certainly not. And here are the 13 districts shown. And that is just to underline, that is their mandate. Yet they're rolling out these towers in Greenwich Village, the Upper East Side, and now Community Board 1, which of course has lit a fire under many people who do not believe there is need for this. And when asked, how did you cite these 7 towers, which we're going to go over in landmarks, the actual specific siting, we're told that one carrier indicates there's gaps in these areas, and that's how they decide on the site. And when asked for data to confirm this, we are not provided it at all. Okay,
Next slide.
Next slide, sorry about going long. Thank you for adding the slide. I know it was less, but we cannot read it unfortunately. But I wanted to just point out that one of the biggest concerns that was provided by a very helpful person who's very involved in environmental concerns named Odette Wilkins. She had been quoted in the New York Times and such. She talked about the problem with wireless in terms of health. And what was amazing to me is you look up on the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission website, and they actually identify, they say there's no problem with it, but then they identify some measures to reduce your RF, your radio frequency exposure, include reducing the amount of time spent using your wireless device, use a speakerphone earpiece, increase your distance between wireless devices in your body, consider texting rather than talking. I thought that was incredible. That's on the FCC website, who are the self-monitoring agency for the alleged okayness of these in terms of environmental concerns. So that's it. I think that was it. And one more slide is just the recent New York Times this summer. Do you really need them? This has come out before. Gotham has published an article just in July that stated that no carrier is really signing up for these because they're not so sure they want to. So then the question becomes, well, now we're going to have this infrastructure and, who's coming to use it? And also the need, this question of need is a big one that yet really hasn't been proven. So that is it in a nutshell, and we segue, so the resolution is, and apologies, I didn't get a chance, I wrote a lot today, this resolution, landmark. So there's some edits which I'll take care of, but in terms of just, edit mistakes. But if there's any questions on it, the therefore be it resolved is basically to call for moratorium, like many have, for the installation of Link 5G in Community District 1. Until all questions and concerns have been fully addressed, which are all enumerated in this resolution. That deal with environment, privacy, aesthetics, all of the things we talked about a little bit. And that in moving forward on this initiative, CD1 supports the strategy set forth by our borough president in a letter he wrote in February of this year. And that's all outlined under item 3 in your resolution. I don't think I have to read it all, but it's a really great idea of using what we have, using the infrastructure we have. Don't add to the public sidewalks of New York. And to work with all the city agencies on this kind of, I'm sorry, there's somebody.
No, we've spoken to Mark, so you said he's.
Okay, well, I'm just finishing and then I will take questions, but give me one more second. I think that's it. There are no more slides on that. So, so that's pretty much it. And now I can ask questions. Mark.
So I'm glad you brought up that slide, that you didn't want to read. It was too big, but I mean, anyone who trusts the federal government, that these things are safe. Yeah, I mean, like the air safe from ground zero.
Yep.
Right. So it's a bunch of BS. There've been studies done. I don't know if you found any of them. I remember hearing on some radio programs.
Watch the recording, we had somebody
Say
there.
that you cited them here.
Yeah,
Some
they
studies
were
about-
cited.
I think some even say you have to be at least 1,000 feet away from these things from a residential neighborhood. So, I don't know, does that specifically mention, or is it just cited?
No, the studies are not cited. The environmental concerns are, and the advocacy for making sure all the environmental questions are in fact raised and addressed is also.
So I just have a quick amendment language on the therefore be resolved, the last where it says landmarks until all questions and concerns have been fully addressed. When we say until all questions and concerns, including safety and health concerns, have been fully met.
No, it's redundant because it's already in there, but I'm happy to write.
But it's in therefore be resolved, so it should be always the strongest thing that gets the
Got it.
point, as opposed to the convoluted 9,000 whereases.
Okay, well, we're not
Accept just as an answer, Mark.
accepted. Anybody else?
Totally.
David, Tricia?
I wonder, I think that really bothers me about when they were talking about how much radiation is emitted. It's not something that's static. For instance, when you have really, really poor service, you should never use your phone. Never try to get anybody when you have one bar, because the phone works 4 times harder trying to connect and emits 4 times the radiation. So low, it's the bad joke of these things, because they want to put them where they're needed, but there's no service. But that's where the radiation emitting from them is going to be the highest. And service also changes as these cell towers move. And so is there a way to just put something in there that says there is no way to quantify levels of radiation? Because their argument was, like, they had all kinds of data where they had gone up and checked the radiation and said that it was lower than spending a half hour on your phone, spending your half hour near this 30-foot thing. Remember he kept saying how incredibly safe it is.
I don't think we're acknowledging their perspective on the health. I think we're saying that we must look at this much more carefully in terms of their environmental impacts. And I think that would be the next resolution, if you will, on the actual 5G technology. And those are that I was talking about with Assemblymember Glick, which exists as legislation until I think I told you about that's been presented by Assemblymember Seawright, looking at just that 5G cell service research, and I think that would come into that. Into
Some
play.
of that'll move before that.
Yeah, well, okay.
Any other questions?
Who, is this a city agency? Is this a private entity who are placing these towers? And secondly, what would be the community board's methods in preventing these towers from coming into play?
Great question. Private entity, company called City Bridge, which works with a company called Bolden. It's kind of an interesting group of people working together. They have a contract with the city. I think it started in 2020. It's been amended 3 times. In fact, they didn't meet the obligations of the contract originally in terms of pay the city, but whatever, it's still in play, and these things are up. The contract is over in 2030, which is like, what, 5 years from now. So that's the story there. And the question of what can we do? That brings us perfect segue to the next chapter in landmarks. The only thing that came out of this, thanks to Gerald Nadler, was the recognition that these towers needed to have environmental assessments and historic assessments through a federal regulation called Federal Regulation 106. And it was thanks to Gerald Nadler of recognizing it and basically finding the City Bridge Company in violation for not having done it. As a result, the first tower that you see up there, well, right here, this one, that's in Chinatown, that in fact has been deemed illegal. And not illegal, but against federal ruling, because it is in front of a landmark across the street. We might be able to see part of that building. And so that actually has to come down. And because that was put in before the violations were recognized.
Yeah.
And as a result, the only way a community board or any community or any member of the public can make this happen to stop something is to specifically at each site, identify the things that are not historic or are not environmentally sound. And that is what we worked last night until the wee hours with Jason and Vicki and the Landmarks Preservation Committee in looking at each and every site. Unfortunately, this community board does not have any historic preservation group that's working with us. And so it leaves us alone as members come up with our reasons, not preservationists. And none of us are preservationists, but we have leanings. No, I certainly do. So I did write up that resolution, which
This resolution
which
first.
I will go over in a minute, that's what to say, when we are,
We're not there yet.
this one.
So,
Yeah.
have you heard, Morton, is it relevant to the first resolution or the second one?
The first one.
Uh-huh.
Are they gonna be able to do this over our objection? I mean, what's the?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's contract. You're a lawyer, so it is contract to do it, but we have this one area, which is we can prove that these things have impacts, the ones that describe historic and environmental, then we.
But it has to get environmental approval.
Brendan,
No.
No?
Call the question.
it does not, Morton. The only approval that we have, first and second, the only approval we have is through section 106.
Right.
Okay, so the question has been called and seconded, vote by affirmation. Are there any opposed to this resolution
As amended.
as amended? Are there any in abstention? Are there any recused? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to landmark.
So Jason Show, I hope you got the fantastic images that he made. So just so you understand.
Is he doing that or
I'm gonna start, yeah.
are we doing 5G or the two
We're definitely
dockets?
doing 5G now, that's the whole.
Okay, go.
So the segue in here. Let me just say that one of the things that we should all know is that every submission we received for these sites, we were barely aware of them, that's another story, but in each submission, there are no photo simulations of any of the towers in these locations. So we actually had to go figure out what it might look like, and Jason very kindly spent his time to try to put some of these in. And we asked as a board leadership for City Bridge and OTI, Office of Technology and Innovation, used to be information, to provide this obvious thing of photo simulations, what these things look like, and they did not provide them. So we are really basing this on, very difficult kind of situations. And what we did is we looked at each of the 7 sites. I took 66 Harrison. and 100 North Warren. I'm not going to go over every detail. Suffice it to say, there's a lot of problems with
Yeah,
it.
then you say Jason.
And Jason, do you have your PowerPoint up?
Lucy sent it. She's
This?
We're doing
Yeah,
the
the 5D first, yeah.
And
And,
she's just doing that.
and if you want to just look at what the comments were on Harrison, North Warwickshire will be similar to what we're going to get through on terms of all the 5 other sites. You'll see the biggest concerns are there, every one of these towers is in the floodplain, which requires an environmental assessment. When I pointed this out to City Bridge, they said, well, we'll change the base of the tower. And we said, well, that's great. Well and good, you change the base of the tower, but then you have to come back to the city. So then anyway, this is, okay, so Jason's on, go.
So I asked AI to make a configuration for us. So I will, I don't know where it got all this information from, but, we have these.
I like it. Perfect.
We have these 8 spots on the left, and to find these spots by address, impossible. You have to literally walk around every building. I did it, it's impossible, you never know. These are some reasons we don't think we like them, possibly, I heard, but none of them hold any water when we go to SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, that's gonna ask us, how can we prove that these things are not appropriate in or around our historic district. So let's go to the second slide, which shows all our historic districts and all of our individual landmarks. And these are our spots roughly, okay? So you can imagine a big 30-foot pole might have an impact on the views of this area or maybe all these landmarks around this one. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide shows that are located generally in our flood zone districts. These are our worst flood zone districts. Next slide. So then I prompted the computer to look for views that were not really nice, after a pole would be put on the corner of Wall Street and Water. So it's pretty obvious that this takes away from views of this individual landmark. Wall Street itself is a scenic landmark. There's other landmarks scattered in here. There's this, the Pomo one that we were fighting over. So not a great sighting, right? If we want to think about how it impacts the appropriateness of our historic district, this is 95 Water Street. Okay,
95 Wall.
95.
And just, this is why, Jason, that they did not send us mock-ups.
Okay, so this one's it's harder, and remember this, I had it give us just the worst view. So you could take this view and look completely north or even west or directly east and look at the view of the river. But here we can see this is the blue area that was on the map. It's here too. It's the South Street Seaport Historic District. Obviously, this blocks the view of the ships and so on and so forth. So another good case of pole blocking something historic. So the next slide. 88 Pine Street. So I challenge anybody to find this 88 Pine Street. It's on actually the other side of Water Street. The building 88 Pine Street entrance is on Water Street. It's a great IMK building. It's not an individual landmark, but here again, you can see in the distance, in the background, you have the historic district, obviously, again, sort of taking away from these beautiful buildings here, overshadowing them, blocking views, whatever. Next slide. 88 Pine, 110 William. So this is an individual landmark. It's the Federal Reserve. There's a bunch of landmarks down here, bunch of landmarks to the north. Obviously oversized, completely ridiculous. I mean, look at the scale of this person. It's just
Narrow
insane. This is basically an alleyway to Pine Street or something. It's a small street there. It's terrible. Next. Oh, a tragedy. I mean, maybe people don't know this building. Some people have lived in this building in a room. Some people love the building. It completely blocks the building.
Yeah.
Blocks the wall.
Blocks, yeah.
Yes.
Know that building.
Well, I spelled it wrong. That's AI. Okay, so obviously inappropriate, but like you'd never know that if you didn't walk around the block and figure out exactly where it was. And then go and have a machine make this slide. Never.
There's a school right there.
Yeah, but that's another reason. You could say there's a school, you could say there's whatever. It's not a reason, unfortunately, that we think we can fight really hard on. This is Harrison Street, not the most historic part of it, but yet a cobblestone part of it. The district is right there, individual landmark. Just ridiculous.
Those are row houses?
Yeah.
It's houses, yeah.
Yeah, so-
They tried to tell us at the meeting, because it was on the other side of the bridge there, that it wasn't next to the historic building.
Right, well, a lot of it is blocking views, and that's a lot of what makes, you know, seeing 75-foot tall buildings, street walls and stuff, that's what makes our districts, what they are. Next, I think that's it, right? No, one more, okay.
Really?
There is. This one is all the way down, Northmore Street, 100 Northmore, which by the time you get there is across from the Citibank building and an entrance to one of the, what's that? Independent Plaza, I forget, it's like something Northmore, but that's one of the buildings. 80. Wakanda down there, but again, like, is this not a typical Tribeca North Historic District block? Does this not disrupt and take away from the scenic views of the Hudson River? Can we debate that the Hudson River is something we don't want blocking, with poles?
Cobblestone streets, and there's
Yeah.
also 4 bars of service
Mhm.
in all of these places. I don't understand the whole idea of need.
But yeah, so that's it.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Out of their window. That's it.
Yeah, well, and that's like, it's like, I wanted to go into apartments and, you know, see what that would look like. It's kind of an unreasonable thing, but yeah, a lot of these would block apartments, offices, just, it's ridiculous.
Also, it doesn't provide cell service inside, it only is on the street, just so you know. And
Right.
of course, you still pay for cell service. People thought, oh, it's free. No, it's like Verizon goes in the box and you pay Verizon. That was
You could call the question.
I have a question. This is crazy, and maybe it's not a question even. So is there any way to put in, suggest to the city that if in future, like with the World Trade Center exposure, in future years, if a mass amount of people have health issues, that the city will pay for medical treatment? Yes.
Interesting.
This is one, last one,
Oh, thank you.
which was actually rejected by SHPO already. And does that mean it will not go forward on that? As far as you
That
understand?
site will not go forward,
Okay.
but they will come back with another site.
Because of the same reasons we're searching for in the previous slide. So if we can do their job, we may be able to knock out a couple of these, maybe. So over the next, I think I only have like 4 or 5 days. We're only given a
30th
month.
of September.
I'm gonna take all this stuff, maybe feed it back into the computer and pop out these, kind of like form responses to say, you know, I'll just use this as example, from the south, of this proposed location, views north are blocked, views north of the individual landmark are blocked, and therefore, you know, we shouldn't have it. Now, some of these locations that we still have left, we can say, view from north is blocked, view from south is blocked, view from, well, and I'll just put as many of those in there, looking for either individual landmarks or historic districts in the background and foreground, and then that's all we can really put up to those forms.
Yeah, and it would be really helpful for people who live in these areas, who know, like, so I've done 66 and 100 Northmore, kind of in a format that might be helpful. If you can provide to the community board, you know, just copying Jason and me and the board, whatever your thoughts are that are convincing in terms of arguments you really believe in your own neighborhoods that know these sites pretty well, it would be really, really helpful to have that.
How do these people even get approval without the residents who?
Well,
That's a very good question. Right.
Look into the political contribution.
And you have to ask people there.
Okay, so with that,
Yeah, let me.
I hear a call, I hear a second. We're gonna go vote by affirmation. Are there any no's? Are there any extensions? Are there any refusals? What?
Elizabeth Lewinson left.
Elizabeth Lewinson has left the building. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Next. Jason, you're up. Go.
So we had three other non-confrontational items. 63 Nassau Street, totally reasonable request. Some storefront, yeah, I don't know if we have, God, that could be it. Okay, great. This is a proposed storefront right there. What's there now is, currently covered with modern, aluminum and terrible garbage, layers. They're going to peel it away. There's a couple of cast iron columns, piece of cast iron here. They're gonna put all wood and glass painted. It's a pretty appealing, like layout for a storefront. And it seemed that they did a paint analysis. There's some bulkhead work at the top, but doesn't really take away from what they're doing at the bottom. The building is in terrible disrepair. It's a wonderful cast. It's 4 slides, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, before and after, right? Isn't this much better? Yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's the same, basically, except remember, we're doing a little bulkhead work up here.
That's why
Okay,
yeah.
and that's the building. If people pass this beautiful building by for 20 years and seen it like this, well, they're gonna make it look pretty now, okay? I don't even remember this bag shop pay, but it's been long gone. Okay?
And there,
Okay, and this is what it looks like rendered, which is nice of them to do. And I think it looks very nice. Okay, next one. Okay, this building, oh my God. You could die walking in front of this building for the past 25 years. The sidewalk is completely destroyed. It's been, everyone knows how much disrepair this building's been in. Okay, so they had a permit, it expired, they got tossed into the whole, your LPC permit expired, spiral. And it turned out they needed another approval for us, now that the law has changed, for removing a party wall inside the building. So they came to, front of us to renew their expired permit and add this piece of work. Otherwise, the rest is as presented, maybe 8 or however many years ago, 10 years ago. And I think it's a big improvement to that corner, and we thought it was. Keep going. Okay, go. I'll show you the wall, go.
Proposed.
Okay, I don't see the wall coming out, but,
Proposed.
okay. Oh, okay, right. So this is 88 Pine Street, and we talked about it, Lucy, because.
This is the BSA with the change.
Right.
Just
How does it apply to landmarks? Remind me. Just because it's a
It
BSA.
doesn't, it was something that the land use committee, the land. use
Yep.
and zoning had seen, and it came to the board in just a few, 2 days ago, and we didn't have time to bring it back to land use. The BSA is going to review this in a couple of days, and so it came to you, to your committee. And basically what's going on is there is a revision that's been created here on the south side to make a new open plaza. And we looked at that, and we, as a committee, did not think that this was a great plan. And we also believe that the BSA should have come back and showed it to us, the applicant, the owner. And we asked for that, but the applicant denied our invitation. And so we wrote a resolution saying that we continue to deny this application, which is going in front of the BSA. That's long and short of it.
Yes.
What?
He thinks we hate him at this rate.
No, he knows it well.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'd like,
I have one thing on the Nassau Street that didn't seem to get.
Oh, the medallions?
Yeah, there's both things are missing. One is,
okay, so this is a friendly amendment for Nassau Street.
Yep.
Research
So,
that medallion.
We're required to recover missing or damaged section, particularly the missing column bases on the second floor. And to match the historical record showing original details, including any potential for replacing the medallions. Okay?
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so that's for Andrew?
Question on canal.
Hmm.
How long did the permit holder have the permit for, and did it expire due to lack of action on their part?
Yeah, so, it's probably about a 7-year permit, let's say, and then they came up in the meeting that it had been a couple years expired. My experience working with landmarks is, sometimes things get pretty delayed. COVID with the 2.5-year delay could have thrown any project, out of financing, so I think there's some projects that if the building is really that far gone, we gotta give them a gimme on timing, and this probably falls into that category, yeah.
Okay,
Call question?
there's a call and a second. The call was to take all three together for the two dockets, 63 Nassau, 272, 274 Canal, and the proposed alterations to 88 Pine. If we're gonna take all three together, if you have a comment. Did we do the 5G vote?
Yes.
Yeah. All three.
I clearly need more coffee. Okay. If you have any vote that is different for anyone, please call out your voting differently for the address of the location. Assuming everyone is in affirmation, do I hear any no's? Do I hear any abstentions? Do I hear any refusals? Motion's passed unanimously. That takes us off to Battery Park City. And Justine?
I will be short and sweet.
Love that.
So what was left off of here was that we did get an update from the Battery Park City South Resiliency Project for the work at Rector Place and the Esplanade. The work they're saying is on track, going to be completed by 2025 in January. And the thing of note there is that folks along Rector Place were already concerned and complaining about the noise and the dust, just from a short bit of 3 or 4 days of jackhammering and stuff like that. So it was interesting. I will say that the authority and Katie, I forgot her last name now, but Katie was extremely responsive. She gave information about how long it was gonna last. She was talking to anybody who would talk to her, which did mitigate some of the pain, but it did not stop the pain. That's a preview of what to say. Battery Park City Authority announced that Nick Spordone has an assistant. Her name is Becky Beaver, BECKY.BEAVER, NY.gov. Anyway, yeah, she's very lovely and nice, and there's that. And then just to remind you that October 7th, 2024 is the deadline for public comment. If anybody has anything to say about the Northwest Resiliency Project, that's the deadline, and Zach can tell you how to submit
You can
something.
go on the Battery Park City
For that.
Authority website and it has the impact statement. We're doing one as a board, but as individuals, I welcome everybody to make a comment, any comment that you would like.
Anything that comes up that we forgot to talk about or you want to say more about. Thank you.
All righty.
Sorry, just very quickly, I can't recall, the authority come for your committee to talk about their plan for the field renovation?
For the what?
Field renovation.
Field renovation.
No, tell me more about it, like,
Pretty significant. I can take it offline, I just didn't.
yeah, please, give me a call, please. They have not said.
Is this in response to the the thing, the mill deal?
No, it's much broader than that. It's a holistic plan to renovate, which is a fantastic plan. I'm just concerned they have a very aggressive timeframe for.
No, but that would be very
And they
interesting
never
to hear.
said one word to the community board.
No. Yeah, the ball field, because that would explain why they haven't fixed or replaced the padding, right, for a year now.
Correct.
Because they're gonna do something, but not once have they said.
Fabulous. It's addressed a lot of what we've discussed with them over the last 4 or 5 years, but they're tackling it all at once, which I get, but it's an aggressive timeframe.
When are they starting?
Proposing to start in October, and they represent that they'll have it done.
2025.
The authority doesn't see a difference between April 1st and May 1st. It's only 4 weeks.
Yeah, well.
Little league, yeah.
Yeah, that kills sports leagues.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're not
one-
And
providing
again, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not. It's a fantastic project that I hope you all get behind, but I don't recall that they had brought it to you guys.
They have not.
They have
We should
not.
ask them to present it.
Yeah,
It's
we're
not
gonna
come
ask them
you
to
today,
present.
It has not gone to Battery Park City.
No.
They have not mentioned one iota of it.
No, and that's the sort of frustrating because there's been lots of questions about what's going on with the ball field because it's going into disrepair. So
And there was conversation. It would have been great to have that conversation when we were talking about open space and projects,
Yeah.
considering when the Northwest was starting and having the coordination back and forth. There was never one mention whatsoever
That's very
about the
disappointing.
ball fields closing for any particular purpose.
No,
Well,
very
they're
disappointing.
closing when they can afford, their timetable closes them when they can afford to be closed. The question is when they reopen.
Yeah, yeah, understood, because that could kill softball, baseball.
Don't we actually have to talk to them? I mean, in terms of the leagues?
The league is now engaged with them
Yeah,
as of the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks.
I mean, so they're talking to you, which is lovely, but they need to talk to us as well. And let us know.
That's-
And the school.
And the school, yeah, that's what, well, yeah, bigger.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zelter and
I will follow up, Jeff.
And Tricia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah. And- All right, thank you. Now we're off to licensing.
Yes.
Susan Cole, take us.
All right, just a couple of things I want to inform you. 157 Duane Street came to us and for a license, and their initial applicant, and told us that they were grandfathered in for an ADA compliant bathroom, that they didn't need it. And thank you, Onesh James, for doing a little more research and pushing, and they don't, if there were, the prior owner was given a waiver. These guys were not. So my two chairs and I are asking that, I want to know the procedure, Tammy, I'm not sure. I'd like to table it or withdraw it because let's see what they can come back with. I don't, there's no need, but they don't have an ADA,
Compliant.
compliance, they're not compliant.
So
What do I do?
I think you can table it and then take it off the table in committee, correct?
You could.
But the committee, I mean, I would bring it back, I mean, we have to ask them what they're gonna do about it. This waiver doesn't work for them.
Right?
Pardon me?
You might rewrite the whole thing, right? Like.
Yes,
Absolutely. I think you
Yes.
should withdraw it.
okay. So what do I do?
Bring it back.
Can I just withdraw?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Right?
So 157 Duane is officially withdrawn from the docket tonight. That leaves you for a Tribeca with numbers 1 through 5.
Yes, but I want to just raise one other question, to let you know. And then we could take all of the licensing all together.
All of Tribeca or all of license?
All of licensing.
Huh?
We don't
Dang
do
it.
that. Ooh.
Okay.
I mean, we could do it Tribeca, whatever. I have, 121 Fulton that I want to advise you of. We may have to go to the SLA. Thanks to Gabby, they wanted 4 AM, and we are no longer giving 4 AM because we can't control, certainly in residential areas where they can't control what happens out in the street afterwards, where people live and we get complaints and whatever. And so we allowed them some buyouts. It's in the resolution. We gave them some extension of hours and they got pissy. And so they, pardon me, they said that they weren't going to sign the stipulations. And so I want you to know that before we vote on it. We're going to vote on it. We'll have to go to the SLA.
I don't think the resolution has like a blank for the number of buyouts you allow.
I thought it had it in it, didn't it? I read it just briefly.
Oh, now you remember?
I think it was 24. I think so, too.
I think you're right, it was 24, yes, thank you. We gave them 2 a month, you know, 2, gave you 24. We thought that we were very generous, they're Australian, we gave them hours when they were Australian, blah, blah, blah.
but, I'm just letting you know. So we could take them all by grouping, or we could take them all at once. Yes.
The 24 bios were actually, already voted on in the previous resolution.
Yeah, they got it the last, they keep coming back for more hours, and this is what we think, hours.
Is 285 West Broadway, which has hours open till 2, is that the same as the last bar that was there? And that's one question. Then the second question is, it's the same owner. There were a lot of complaints in the neighborhood over that.
It's a new one.
It's a new owner.
So it's a new owner. Do we need to identify that there were complaints before for the noise and vibrations coming out of that cabaret spot?
We didn't hear any.
Yeah.
We didn't get any responses. There was no they posted, they showed us. the
311, I'm sure would have them.
I think we looked actually. I think they had,
Sorry, I'm.
yeah.
Like that. So, there have been some concerns in the neighborhood, 3 things. One, the noise, vibration, the bass, and basically the amount of stuff going on in the street in front of the building late at night. So I assume.
121 Fulton Street.
No, this is, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, 380 Canal, 285 West Broadway.
West Broadway.
Oh,
Yeah, 285 West Broadway on the corner. Now, we just finished with that.
Since you're a member of the public, and are you the owner of which one?
121 Fulton.
Okay, so please wait.
Well, I don't know if, how to deal with that, but there were definitely, I remember, issues, and I would have to go back and look at No, I agree. I just.
It was about whether or not they put the sound proofing in for the new owner.
Well,
Is
it's
it-
just the 2 a.m.
Is it a club or a restaurant that they're going to, do you know?
They're gonna be operating the same as they are now. I think it's
I think that's a club.
yeah.
It's a nightclub?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's open till 2. And do we know that those are the same hours previously?
Yes.
Well, it wasn't great, but I don't know how you deal with that, but okay, I guess.
We could notify them. I wasn't at this meeting. So they could
We can notify.
Could we add that in the past, there have been complaints about,
As
neighborhood
a little
complaints.
amendment to add in, we can do that.
Okay,
I don't see why not.
Because I think it's
There had been prior complaints with the prior owner, and we want to ensure that that the noise level
And so.
Yeah.
That's been approved.
Yeah.
All right, you'll do
Thank
that.
you.
And crowd control on the street.
Al,
Well, I think that's what they said.
I have a hand up for, Fulton. Fulton is the one that we're talking about with the 4 a.m., right?
yes, your blue hat.
So,
Blue Haven.
all right, so I just want to add something to that. The Burger King that's over on Fulton was and continued to be a hotspot and got hit with a $15 million lawsuit for quality of life issues, all this other stuff from the residential neighborhood that is surrounding it. Bike issues, bikes move. We've had a lot of problems right there. So I don't know. I understand this is not the Burger King. This is not the bike rack, but the quality of life issues we worked on for 6 months on Fulton with coordinated efforts with NYPD, City Hall, and DOT were very, very productive and very, very helpful for the community. I think 4 a.m., which I understand that the owners wanted, is untenable and doesn't actually fit into the neighborhood based on the problems that we had for the last year on that street. And it's not as if we're talking very far away. 106 Fulton is not far from 121. So it's really the same couple blocks there and the residential neighborhood. So, this was.
What used to be the restaurant we have, Answorth or something, what we have.
This is this is where, like, if you take a look, Burger King got hit with a huge lawsuit by the neighbors because of the quality of life.
It's on the other side of the street, it's
Right.
a block away.
Right, but it's about the residential neighbors, which I think if you're looking for the owners at 121, they don't know what the rest of the street was like. They don't know about the problems that the residents have had. And I think that
Well, in all
you're
fairness,
flexible to give them an extra hour.
no doubt, we think we were flexible.
Yeah.
And no, and in all fairness to them, they had a couple of residents come up and speak in favor of people who lived across or around. And one of them said he loved having it when he came home late at night from drinking. But, you know, what can I say? There are others, but they did have people who were supportive of them. And in all fairness, we haven't had any complaints. Did we have complaints on them?
I think we did, yes.
Did we?
Yeah, one we found.
One we found. You know, people don't call enough, they complain, or they don't follow through. But we had said we would look into it, but it became, the more we've thought about it over the period of time, we just feel 4 a.m. is, on a regular basis, is not right. And we gave them, thanks to Gavin, really. We gave them an extension and we gave them some buyouts and some, we thought we were very generous. All right, so there is the element.
Only if there are questions for you.
Susan,
Yes.
it's Bob. Where on the agenda this should be, but I'd like to, I read the resolution on Madeline's Dwayne Park Pesteria, and it's a good resolution. I support it. It's supportive of the business. I think it would be appropriate in that if you would accept a friendly amendment. That's a neighborhood institution that's been here for a long, long time, operated with first-class work. And I was wondering if you would just put in there, I know you say they've been in business 30 years, but I think some acknowledgement of how well they've done it might be in order if you would accept it, Susan.
Thank you.
And how much they support the community.
And,
Yeah, they're very.
the point is about.
They were very, it was very easy.
Are you gonna take these together?
So we are, I mean, the question that,
We didn't have any problem.
hold on a second.
Great.
Sorry, I can't hear Susan. I didn't hear a response to that.
Bob, yes. Yes.
Yes, you'll put something in. Okay. If you need words, I'll give you words. I could do it tomorrow, but, you know, I trust you to put in some nice words.
Yep.
Okay, we're all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just give her a second because she's on the record. She's on the record.
All right, speak up.
Speak up for what you wanted to say.
Me?
Yes.
Sorry. You know, we, as the owners, I think there might have been some miscommunication. We were okay with what they decided at committee. It wasn't the 4 a.m. that we were looking for, but it was a compromise and we were okay with that. So I'm not sure why our attorney advised us not to sign the stipulation, so we're gonna.
They're gonna come in.
You're gonna come in and sign?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
that's all.
appreciate
I mean, I didn't read exactly what the resolution was, but from what we went through together at committee, it is okay by us.
I'll give it to you.
I really appreciate that. And sometimes, no offense to the lawyers in the room. There you go. Capable people who work.
So, I would take them all.
Call the question.
Second.
Second.
All right, we're gonna go by vote of affirmation. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Motion passes with the friendly amendments that we got. Thank you.
Bob, lower your hand on mine.
Courtney to Laura. Okay, water funds. Mr.
No, the report. Maxwell.
Oh, Susan, you guys do a report on Maxwell's or is Onesh doing it?
I'll do it. Just let me get this.
Okay, Maxwell Social Club at 451 Washington Street, aka 135 Watts. I know, we'll be out of here in like 15. That's okay.
Where's this?
So they're persistent to come back. Can you do your resolutions? We'll come back.
Am I up?
Yep.
Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the resolution, let me see. Could you put up the resolutions or the, okay, first one is the reconstruction of Manhattan Park. So let's go to slides, please. Okay. The slides will show you where this park is located, which is on the waterfront. Do we have those slides?
Yeah, they're up, they're rolling.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see them. I was on a different slide. Okay, so basically what we have here is a park along the water between South and Water Street, along Wall Street, and it was badly damaged by Superstorm Sandy. And this is basically an effort to do a lot of repairs and improvements. So what you're looking at is adding irrigation, lights to the park, benches, flexible space, especially down between South and Front. And there are new trees. There are low fences to protect the plants. There are boulders. There are trash receptacles. So it's an overall improvement that the committee generally favored, and we voted unanimously in favor of. I'll leave it at that.
You want to take the next one and we'll do them all together?
I have a friendly.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on, you got questions in the room on this.
Okay.
Mr. Corman and Alice.
Yes, in the airport be it resolved, the fourth bullet, based upon what they told us that the city council has identified that this may not have been a slave site. I'd like to change the language here to say ensuring that if there was a slave market at this site, that it is properly properly noted and recognized. So we can just leave it open to make sure they do the homework.
I accept that. Is that okay with you, Alice? You raised the issue.
Yeah, I'm only raising it in that I think, Jamani, whatever, sorry, that during city council, I just looked it up, they did say that this was not the site.
Correct.
So I guess I was gonna say to ensure that the signage, the original signage at Manhattan Park, the signage of the slave market at Manhattan Park, is properly removed and commemorated, whatever you just said, in another area, in another approved area as soon as possible.
Okay, I accept that.
Relocated. It was already relocated.
To where, do we know?
That's what they did.
Where? I didn't think it was. Is it there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were questioning the Wall Street signage. So-
No, they moved it already. They moved it.
But nobody knows where. Okay, well,
In that case, we don't need it.
take out the bullet.
Take out the
We'll
bullet.
look for
Take the bullet point out.
Take that point out. That point has been moved.
So if we can confirm that the thing has been moved, I'll be happy to. Yeah.
Okay, Eric?
Yeah, for this park, I mentioned this at the meeting, that it should be designed with safety and security, always to be considered, so that we always have line of sight. This park will never be closed. And I'm worried that in the effort to make it isolated, when you're in the park, you won't be seen, from outside. And since this park will be open 24/7, yes, it will technically be closed at night. People will still go there, and for everyone's safety, people should be seen when they're walking in the park from outside.
I think he described that they would be seen. They are visible. The tall grasses were not that high.
I don't recall that.
That's what he said.
From the meeting, but.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
It's not tall grass is people height, it's tall grass is grass height.
So,
Like
there was.
15.
All
right, all right. Anybody have anything else? Paul, you want to hit the next one? So we'll take them together.
Sure. Okay, the next one concerns moving along the East River improvement and to the waterfront. I should say that Michael Kramer and Tammy have had a series of discussions already with some representatives of Board 3. And basically, it's trying to, as I said in this resolution, interested in forming a working group to include Board 3 and the organizations along the waterfront, both in Board 1 and 3, to try to make the East River waterfront, develop a consensus and move it along and work together on it. So the resolution basically, therefore be it resolved that CB1 is interested in forming a working group with CB3 to explore synergies and develop a set of principles and guidelines which will better inform a more holistic approach to the waterfront planning. So this was unanimously agreed to, well, one abstention, I believe.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. All right. Can we take both these resolutions together?
Sure.
All right. Assuming everybody's affirmative, are there any noes? Any abstentions? Any recusals? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just show, this is the artwork that's already gone in to the park. It's going to be up till March 30th. If anyone has any questions or comments, please give them to me or On Edge and we'll pass them along. And we did have a discussion about having what is he called? A person work on this project, but that really didn't get finalized. So there's still discussion to be had on that subject.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We are rocking. Susan, do you need to give a report? Are you back in the room?
Yes.
Susan, please give the report on Maxwell's.
Maxwell is it appears to be an event space. It was originally, when we approved it in, I'm trying to look at the stipulation, in 2000 and, it's 1 minute everything, 2021. It was a membership club. It is in the bottom of a building where residents live. People are beside themselves with the noise, the crowd, the smoking. And part of the complication, just so you know, is that one of the residents in the co-op is a part owner of the space. So it's a very fraught situation. We had a huge turnout of people from the building and across the street and to the side of the street. And I gathered that thanks to Tammy, we have set up some mediation.
We are working on it.
Okay. They supposedly met, but they're in non-compliance. It's just really quite horrible. And if I live there, a woman wants to sell, she can't sell her apartment, the noise is terrible. And they're really terribly rude. And I would be willing to, they come up for their license renewal in December. And we have already written to the SLA, Zach wrote a letter on our behalf, describing the situation and everything that was going on, giving them a heads up. And we tried to do this because I don't want to renew, as it now stands, I would not, we would not renew their license in December. And so that means we have to go to the SLA, but we're gonna try to do some mediation. We're gonna try to do the best we can, and then we move forward. And you'll hear back from us soon.
And then we have two more votes to
And they're
take.
coming to next month.
All right, we have two more votes and then we are adding our votes.
New business.
The first is old business. I'm gonna do that because it should be fairly fast. It's a ratification vote because we already passed a vote in exec in August. And if you remember for our bylaws, you have to hold an emergency executive meeting, then motions that are passed in that month are ratified in the following month. Anything that is not ratified gets undone. But we've already submitted our comments and done our resolution, so I'm hoping this is a
Call the
quick,
question.
clean. Thank
Yeah.
All right, so this is a ratification of the old business. I'm gonna assume everybody is a yes. Are there any no's? Eric, what do you know to?
DOT putting the chargers on along the curb.
You are saying no to the resolution.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Are there any abstentions? Fantastic.
Tammy, I'm gonna abstain, Bob Townley. I have something to say on it. Someone called the question quickly, but I'll go by the rules. If I can't speak, I won't speak.
Yeah, let's just keep going, Bob, on this one because.
All right, I'll speak on e-bikes and the New York Coalition for Safety with e-bikes at another time.
Yeah, we're gonna try and have them come in for transportation for a whole discussion on e-bikes. So
Oh, can someone tell me when that meeting is? I'd like to attend that.
Absolutely. So now we have a new business resolution.
Tammy, I want to vote, I want to abstain from number one. DE bikes.
All right, so the new business resolution was suggested and proposed based on the DOT transportation one with the slow streets. Now, everyone, I'm gonna have Betty come back in the room so we all understand what we're talking about here. It was passed and already announced by the city that the streets south of Canal Street will be known as a slow zone. And what that means is that the streets like West Street go from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. All local streets like Broadway, Church, and all of the rest of them are 20 miles an hour, right? And then an open street, which is something, we don't really have any, but if you want to take a look at like a shared street would be the new, what's the name of that street that's over by you, Pat, that they're doing construction on?
That you don't want.
Thames. Thames Street will be an example of a pedestrian plaza. And when it's open for cars, cars will not be able to go more than 10 miles an hour on that street, right?
But it's not open for cars.
When and if. When and if. Okay?
One more number, we have 15 minutes left here.
So this is not, exactly, thank you, Zach. So understand what this is all about. I hope you had read the details that Betty had put in the resolution to understand. Decide when we're doing new business. Let's look at this in 3 prongs. 1, you can say, no, we don't like the fact that we're the first slow zone in New York City, but it's already been voted on. We could still say no. 2, there is West Street going from 30 to 25, local streets going to 20, and then really the shared streets is almost immaterial until they, do more of those, all right? So those are the 4 things that are in front of us. So I need to understand under new business, when we voted this down, that we did not approve the slow streets, the slow zone, is it everything in there? Or is it what? I mean, we need to be super clear here because we have 14 minutes. Mariama goes first.
For me, the language is problematic, as it refers to the shared streets, especially since it talks about present and future streets. To me, it's too vague and it leaves room for you to be ticketed, even if you're not on West Thames, if you're on some other street that's being shared, by pedestrians and bicyclists and cars that is licensed there to give you a ticket. Also, they keep referring to the West Street portion of the West Side Highway as just West Street. It's a highway. So slowing it down.
It's 9A, it's at 30, it's going to 25.
They're light.
It's a highway. But, so it's the language that's been used.
They're traffic lights, it's not, it doesn't apply to the FDR, it's the traffic light area. It doesn't apply to the highway. I hear what you're saying.
The entirety of the West Side Highway below 59th Street is
9A.
Line.
I know.
But it's still the West Side Highway.
Justine, Gabby,
everywhere else.
Jeff, and then I'll get to the others who have spoken much. Justine, short.
It would be short. I have a question or a statement, and I want confirmation, Betty. For the streets that are being reduced from 20 to 20 miles per hour, they were only at 25 before, 25 miles per hour before, correct?
Yes, there's a 5 mile per hour reduction, and it's still the 10 mile per hour leeway before you consider breaking the
The
law.
law, they still, the way the law gets enforced, at least so far, that's the case. That's what was explained, but, and the DOT was, they were in our, weren't they in the meeting? The DOT was in the meeting listening to this, was we were talking about that.
Gabby,
The ambiguity around the future streets for me, is just,
Oh, wait, can I just finish?
No.
Wait, I don't finish.
No, Justine, we have 13 minutes and tons of people who have never said a shred of anything on anything. I'm gonna go, yeah, and then Richard.
I don't care what resolution we do as new business, except I don't think it's procedurally proper to essentially redo the vote that we already did to try to get the opposite result of what we already did. So if we want to vote on something, we object to the slow zone in Lower Manhattan, period. If we want to make a resolution, maybe it'll pass, maybe it'll fail. If we want to make a resolution that says we object to the 10 mile an hour, maybe it'll pass, maybe it'll fail. But the one thing that I think would be improper under Robert's rules is to essentially revote that resolution to now go in favor.
We didn't have full
And,
concept.
and DOT has already said a regional slow zone, right? Speed limits are set at 20 miles per hour throughout. I mean, so that's
Point of order, there will be one of them in each borough.
correct. So we are the borough for, the first location being
It's too bad,
considered
but,
is us. Okay, who did I say? Richard? And Eric, no, I'm not calling on you. You've spoken a lot about this topic. Richard, go.
So
I apologize.
this is not relevant. This is not important for us to do tonight.
Public
Because-
comment.
Could we do it another time?
No, it's 45 days.
No, you're 45 days, the clock is
It's a
ticking.
week and a half.
It ends. So that's why we're here today.
Okay, then, Joe, but I just don't see how we can, without more careful thought, which we already voted down, what we can vote on today at this point.
It sort of aggravates the crap out of me as a chair because we did a lot of work in transportation. If people were not going to be, if people want to be heard on it, well, the work is done in committee. The announcements came out about slow streets over at the end of June. This is not new news necessarily.
It's Sammy's law. We implemented.
And then Sammy's law. Cody. Cody.
Bottom line, this is about saving lives. This is about like reducing severe injuries. I mean, I understand that people feel that this is extreme, but this is actually about saving lives and it will save lives. It's proven. Science says so. And so that's what we're voting on.
Susan Cole.
I want to go to Jeff. I voted like you voted, and I agree with you. But I think it would be a way, there's something to be said as a group, how we feel, and that's.
I agree with that. I just say we can't revote.
No, I totally agree with you.
I'm sorry, you're making a suggestion?
Yes.
What?
I am making the suggestion that we vote that even though we disagree, blah, 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 that we are against that, the somehow it wasn't well thought out for us, the slow street
The 10-mile-an-hour you're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't have proper time.
Well, we did, but we didn't, everybody didn't do their homework. That's a piece.
It's our own committee. and it's-
Justine, you've already spoken many times on this. Mark, you've missed most of the meeting, but I'll let you go.
So everyone forgets when West Street, West Side Highway 9A was reconstructed, the original speed limit was 25 miles an hour. That was not considered feasible, and they raised it to 30. So there's a reason why they raised it to 30, because 25 miles an hour is ridiculous. So is 30, but that's another story. So I'm proposing a resolution, that's what some other people said, with regards to the clarity on this. And I would also, iterate what I just said about that when West Street was reconstructed, originally there was 25 miles an hour and the speed limit was raised to 30, and that the board opposes the 25 miles an hour on West Street below Canal Street.
So here's where I would here's where I think we could
That's
probably,
my proposal.
I hear that, but you know what? We didn't have the amount of bicycles, we didn't have bike lanes on West Street, we didn't have crossways. It's a completely different West Street now than it was even 10, 15 years
What's
ago.
cycle have to do with West Street? There's
It
no.
all, because, hold on, let me get there. I actually would suggest we do a resolution that asks DOT not to implement the slow zone in our district until the state DOT traffic study is complete, which will change 9A.
Second motion.
And that we not argue about what the neighborhood thing is, but we ask that DOT wait to see for potential changes to 9A that include modal transportation, resiliency, and the third thing that they put. So it would be just asking them not to do the slow zone in Lower Manhattan until that is done. And that pulls us out and gives us an opportunity to see. We may lose lanes, we may gain, we don't know.
But that study.
Anyone thinks they're gonna gain lane,
Right? Or is it?
this is why we have to.
That is only for West Street, but everything hinges on West Street if you want to think about it.
So, can I second?
I already did.
There hasn't been a call question.
No, you second the motion.
I seconded the motion.
Okay, the motion was seconded. So motion is done, then we're calling a question. So it is asking the DOT through public comment, the community board won and could not come to consensus, and we ask you to wait until the DOT study is complete to do any neighborhood slow zone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and with that, roll call to get out of here.
Amarissa?
No.
This is a roll call.
No, he said no.
You have to vote.
Oh, we're voting. I thought we were roll calling now.
Cameron?
Cameron, yes.
Castle, Cassell?
Marcel, yes.
Chang?
No, yeah. I'm thinking about it. Come back.
It's a return.
Okay. Chapman?
Kevin, yes.
Cole?
Oh, yes.
Foreman, yes.
Do not leave this room if there is a piece of garbage, a piece of paper, or anything.
Justine?
After he's done calling names.
Flores?
I said that was a yes. Thank you.
Friedman?
Friedman, yeah.
Galloway?
Galloway, yes.
Goldstein?
Goldstein, yes.
Hernandez?
Hernandez, yes.
Irshad? James? Joyce? Kay? Canal?
No.
Copel?
Capel.
Capel? Is he gone?
I think he's gone. Maybe he's gone.
Lerner?
Lerner, yes.
Lynn? Anybody says?
I think we did.
Cody?
No.
Nelson? Yes. Mansley? Moore? Pandya?
Yes.
Porchakori? Robinson?
Robinson, yes.
Rossi?
Rossi, yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to.
Star?
Yes.
Hey, guys, hold on, we're really close on this.
So close. Terry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Townley?
Townley, yes.
You?
Yes.
And then Zelter?
Zelter, yes.
All right, we're all set.
Chang abstains.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the chairs.
All right, with that note, meeting is adjourned at 9:58. Please, if you're on a chair on the side, stack it up.